Coming in with thunder.
And lightning.
Thunder. So I have my ACDC t-shirt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our multi-stream event with Susan Masino tonight. You're multi-streaming. I am Akashi Chris on Mindfort.
And I am Sati, or Dr. Marley Doolittle, on the Cosmic Carousel. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
We are so excited. Right? We're so excited. We've been talking about this forever. We're going to say hi to Chad here in a minute, but first, we're going to have to, bring in our girl, Susan Masino, because we're going to get started quick because we got so much to cover. Right? We got rock. We got spooky stories. We got reincarnation. We got secrets of the universe. You name it. So I'm going to give her a proper intro. So hold on. I'm going to get all serious with my curls and my ACDC t-shirt. We got big balls. I think Scott one. I got big balls. Okay, I'm not going to say it out loud because it's a family thing. Okay, so tonight we're turning the volume all the way up. 49 years ago today, this woman who's our guest tonight, this lovely lady, met amazing ACDC. So it is 49 years ago. So we're so excited. She has spent decades inside the world of rock and roll, chronicling the stories, personalities, backstage moments, and strange twists that most fans never get to see. He's the author of Let There Be Rock, the story of AC/DC, rock and roll fantasy, and the secrets of the universe, and more. She's got a Hank Williams book too. It's crazy. She's crossed paths with some of the biggest names in music along the way. But Susan Masino's story does not stop at rock history, you guys. She's also explored paranormal, synchronicities, reincarnation, consciousness, and some deeply personal experiences that blur the line between this world and whatever might be waiting beyond it. But tonight, we get to talk AC/DC, rock legends, ghosts, the unexplained, the universe, and even the remarkable Titanic reincarnation story. Her son, Jamie. So without further ado, here we go. Let me get my sound effects ready here for the woman of the hour. Yeah, she's here. This is Susan Masino, and I blew it with, hold on. Yay!
Hey. So good to see you guys.
Oh my God, it is so. I saw you was 2023. I believe it's been a while, and I'm just so excited to have you back. And Sati meets you for the first time, and today's a big day, isn't it? Have you celebrated your 49th anniversary?
Well, I kind of did that when I saw the band AC/DC was here in Madison on July 19th, and close to the anniversary, but this time I wasn't able to say hello to Angus, which was kind of hard because I don't see him very much, but it was great to see him on stage, and he was crazy. I mean, I don't know how he does what he does, night after night, like on tour. For they've been on tour for forever. Yeah, it's been like over a year, at least a year and a half, maybe.
They're still living that life. Like, they're not going to stop. And, as long as they're amazing, keep going. So I'm going to say hello to the chat real quick. Oh my God. Okay. I have to do a quick thing for this guy right here. Marcus Sai, my friend, I opened your package today, and oh my God, I'm going to do a whole opening, package opening and sharing all that because your books. He sent me an entire box. I need to show him to you something. Entire box of his books, and
Oh,
there
wow.
and a pyramid, like a look at this. I got a copper.
Ooh,
It's
oh, that's
heavy. It's made
nice.
of
I like
copper,
that.
and I haven't even finished
Really?
opening
Wow.
everything. So Darkest Sigh, a special recognition for being so awesome. But I want to say hello to the chat because the chat is popping. We got Yoga with Goga. This is one of my oldest friends on YouTube. He is so amazing, so positive, and so flexible. I just have to say that because somehow that's for yoga. For Goga.
Yes.
Sorry, Goga. Gogers. Love you, Gogers. And we got Low Wifey Jenna. This girl's been talking about the show. We have several people that might be asking like a lot of like this one. Ruthie Robles loves ACDC. She once her first question was, what does Angus smell like? We'll get to that, so that's one of the things. She's gonna be asking other questions, but she literally sent me that today. Want to know what he smells like? Like, what is his aura? Huh?
I was gonna say sweat.
I put my hands under Angus' pits
Yeah.
and I smell it like this.
Yeah,
So
it
I
would
can
be
tell the
sweat.
fans.
A lot of sweat.
I can tell the fans. You see, we already lost a viewer just on that little bit. You're looking. Whoa. So, Ruthie, we'll be answering your questions. Diane Boss from Forks. Forks,
Hi,
the
Diane.
land of Team Edward. Forks. Here we go. And Sarah.
Hello,
It's called
Sarah.
the West. West
Oh.
is Rich is West. West is Rich. Long story, but you can call him either. Love you, man. It's so good to see you. And I'm just gonna go real quick because I know we didn't even talk about how long we're gonna be here when we're backstage. I'm thinking about 2 hours max, but wherever you want to go, Susan, we go. Lulabelle. We're here. It is your show as far as we're concerned. Right? Steve and I are like, we're caffeinated, we're ready to go.
We are.
Richard, my friend, we have so many people in the chat.
Hey, Richard.
I want to make sure. Oh my God, there was somebody that was here earlier.
Pia is here. Hi, Pia. Love you.
Awesome, Pia. She's from Calling All Beings. Our friend said Calling All Beings. Oh, here we go. Wonder about Sharon, right?
Hey, Sharon. Yes, this is Sharon. You ladies will meet her tomorrow for the class. So, yes, Sharon, thank you for being here.
We're going to get to the bottom of the chat, and we're going to get to Miss, the woman of the hour, Susan Masino. And here we go, Boston Bia. So good to see you, friend.
Thank you.
Okay. So before your world started, way before, obviously, before ACDC. So you have a really, specific perspective on the history. I would love to hear, kind of your path of where you started till you got to like that moment where you meet this epic band who was a very, you didn't know it was an epic band at the time. Nobody in the US knew. So tell us a little bit. Yeah, tell us how you got there because it's just so fascinating. Are you okay if I put you on big screen and us on little?
Sure, but I'll be looking at you guys.
No, do whatever. I just want the people to see you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I grew up in the music business. My parents were venue owners. So the first thing I remember is bands playing in the ballroom. They own the Riverview Ballroom in Sauk City, Wisconsin when I was born. And I remember the music coming through the walls and they would put me in the ballroom to play. It was kind of my playground. And so I would, get up on stage and mess around with any instruments that were left from the night before. So I grew up watching bands, load in, load out, get to know their families. And I felt, music was everything. I mean, that my dad, that was my first babysitter because, my dad ran the bar and my mom ran the restaurant and the banquets and everything. So he said that he used to put me in the stroller in front of the jukebox. And then, God forbid if he ran out of quarters. So
It's like, yeah, later they put people in front of TV. At the time, it was the jukebox. That's awesome. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
really
yeah.
creative. Yeah.
Well, that kind of goes with why my knowledge of music goes back so far, because I was listening to the jukebox as a baby, and then as I grew older, they had a hotel one time in northern Wisconsin where they had live music every weekend. And again, watching bands load in, load out, get to know them, get to know their families, and it was just something that I always loved, but I was not a performer. And I as I got older, and I was really not sure what I was going to do for a career at all. And I started going to see these local bands here in Madison, Wisconsin, and getting to know people, and thinking like, well, how would I work in the business? I'm not a musician. I don't know how I'm going to weasel my way in, but I'll figure it out. And one night I was at a party, after party, and I was meeting promoters and lighting guys and roadies and managers and people like that. And there was also two gentlemen that were printing their own music paper every month. It was called the Mad City Music Sheet. So my
Mhm.
goal was to write for them, because I had the gift of writing even as a young kid. And I always, I love to read. Read when I was a kid, I was fascinated with biographies, because I wanted to know how everybody made their dreams come true. How did they achieve them? And I've talked about this before, that there was one common denominator between, like, Abraham Lincoln to Amelia Earhart to, Lou Gehrig to, Ben Franklin. I mean, I read every biography I could get my hands on. And the one common denominator that they all had was belief. They believed they could do it. And that's really the secret to anything. If you believe in yourself and
Mhm.
you believe you can do it, you can do it. That's how it works. So
Yeah,
that's,
it's like a power of manifestation, power of
yep,
mental. Like, so you always
yeah,
kind of recognize how important it is, like
yes.
kind of recognize the power of it. I love that you went straight for, like my dreams. How do people make their dreams come true? How do I
Mm,
follow these people?
right,
So,
right.
so was so who's the first band you actually like interact like in this gig? So tell me how you got to that point where you're like writing about bands and you happen, right before in the
Mm.
precipice of meeting this
Well,
iconic group.
the paper, girls at the time were not involved in writing for, music at all. It was all guys. And the guys at the paper were not really interested in giving me anything, any assignments, or, they were, I'm trying to break down the door. And so what I did one night is I went out to see a local, or, well, it was a band from Minneapolis. I was playing here in Madison. And there was, copies of the Mad City Music Sheet in their dressing room. So the band
Hmm.
is playing, and the drummer breaks a drum head, so they had to take a little bit of a break. So they're chatting between, the guitar players are talking, and one guy asks the other guy, oh, did you see that the music paper, in the dressing room? Did you check that out? And this guy's like, oh, I don't read crap like that. And this literally light bulb over my head went off, and I went, somebody should be reviewing them. Hey, I ran to the bar, I grabbed a napkin and a pen, and I started scribbling my little notes. And what I did was I went home and I wrote an extremely sarcastic short review of the band. And I used my middle initials so they didn't know it was a guy or a girl. And I mailed it to the paper. And I didn't
Hmm.
tell anybody. I thought, if they don't print it, I'm never going to say anything about it. They printed it. And the band was furious. The manager was oh my god. I mean, he was not happy. And it caused more controversy than anything that they had ever printed. And so I waited about a week, and then I called them and I said, I just would like to thank you for printing my letter. and there were two, Michael and Gary were the two editors, and they
Mhm.
both got on a phone, on the extension, and they could not believe that a girl wrote it. How is that possible, right? So
Wow.
it was, yeah, they didn't know what to do with that. They were just like, and they still didn't give me anything to write. Okay.
I mean, this is 1977. I kind of thought we were a little bit further ahead just at that point, but maybe obviously we weren't. I didn't think that a woman was capable of writing that.
No, there were very few. If you look back, there were like a handful of female rock journalists from that time era. And so what I did was, the day that 49 years ago today, God bless Elvis, was the day he died. And I'm driving through Madison past the paper's offices. And my intuition, I call it the voice. Every once in a while, the voice kicks in, and if I don't listen, it's a mistake. So I'm driving, and this voice says to me, "Pull over and get an assignment." And I just like shrugged it off. I'm like, they're not going to get me an assignment. I've been trying to get an assignment for weeks. What are you talking about? And again, the voice was like, "Pull over now and get an assignment." And fine, I parked my car. I went in, and Gary Summers was on the phone. He now is on Antiques Roadshow. He does a lot of rock and roll memorabilia. So he's out there. You can see him on TV, but he was on the phone when I walked in, and he hung up the phone, kind of looked at me like, "What do you want?" And I just said, "Hey, I just thought I'd stop in and, see if you had anything that you needed done, or anybody that needed to review a band, or, anything, sweep the floor. I don't care." And, and he, as he hung up the phone and I asked him that, he said, "Well, I just got off the phone with a guy from Stardate, which was a huge promotion company in Milwaukee. That Stardate and Landmark were the two big ones that brought all the bands in. And there were a lot of bands in back in 77. I mean, bands every week, every single week. Big ones too, major bands. And so he said, "Well, I just got off the phone with this guy from Stardate. They have a band downtown at this bar called the Stone Hearth, and they need a gopher. They need somebody to, run errands and, fix up the dressing room and, do whatever. There's no pay, but you could probably get a friend in for free, and they need you by 4:00. And I was so excited because, oh my God, I got an assignment, not a writing one, but I got an assignment. And so I'm running out the door because I'm going to go home and change clothes and get ready. And as I'm walking out the door, I turn around and, and I'd seen everybody when I was in high school. I saw, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Cream, Uriah Heep, Humble Pie, Fleetwood Mac. I mean, I saw everybody. I thought I saw everybody. And so as I turned around, I said, "Well, do you know the band? What band is it?" And he kind of shrugs his shoulders and he says, "I don't know, some band out of Australia called AC/DC." And I was like, huh, never heard the phrase AC/DC before. I didn't know they existed. So I went down to the club that day, and I did errands, got some wine for the singer, Bon Scott, although they were out for dinner. They were not at the club when I got there. And so after I set up the dressing room, and I read this little bio on the band that said that they had started brawls from one end of the UK to the other, excuse me, and their pictures were not very pretty. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what did I agree to do? Do I really want to meet these guys, or So I'm set up the dressing room. I'm walking out backwards as they're coming back from dinner, and I didn't know who was who, but the first guy that came in and sat down was Malcolm, and he sat on this couch. It was made up as like a living room in this loft above the bar. That was their dressing room. And so I'm telling them, you got snacks here, you got beer and, soda there. If you want a mixed drink, just come downstairs. I can get one for you at the bar. And I'm trying to leave. I'm literally trying to I'm going to go hide downstairs. And as I'm backing out, this guy walks in with, shaggy dark hair and tats up and down both arms. And he walks in, he's about my size too. And he walks right up to me, puts his face right in my face, and he says, "Sit." And I don't want to make anybody mad, so
Yeah.
so I reached over, I grabbed a chair, I pulled it over, and I sat down. And he walked across the room and he poured two glasses of wine, balloon on wine, and he came over to me and he handed it to me and he says, "Hi, I'm Bon Scott. You must be Sue." And I looked at him. I said, how do you know my name? And then Malcolm chimes in, "Oh, the promoter told us all about you. He said you'd do anything we wanted." And then they all cracked up laughing. And I'm like, white as a sheet, I'm just like, oh
Yeah.
no. And and we just I sat and had a drink and with Bon and Angus, and then Phil and Cliff came in, and they were very cheeky, as they say. They were picking on me right away, and I gave it back to them. I had no problem bouncing things off, and we were laughing a lot, but I learned things like they were talking about my bum, and it was not, at the time, was not a homeless person or anything. That I didn't know that. They were talking also about having a pull, and that's not a drag off a cigarette. So they were very, very racy, if you will, and that didn't bother me at all, because I grew up a tomboy. I've always hung out with guys, with bands, and so we became. I became really good friends with one of the roadies named Barry Taylor. He and I hit it off really well, and this was their first time in the United States. They had only been here for this was their 14th date. And they were promoting their Let There Be Rock album, but they got no airplay in the US. So I had no idea what they sounded like at all. And their promo said that, Angus was like this little stick of dynamite, right? Well, he comes in, he sits down on one of the couches, he works on his guitars the whole time during the opening band, doesn't say a word to anybody. And I'm thinking, stick of dynamite? I'm like, okay, maybe oversold that.
Yeah, I was like, a little firecracker.
Yeah, maybe they oversold that a little bit. So they get ready to play, and I go downstairs, and this is a small bar. There was about maybe 75 people there with $3 cover charge, and that's including the bartenders and everybody. So there was not a lot of people there. And I go down by the soundboard, and I get ready to, see them come out on stage. And so all of a sudden they break into Live Wire, just the rhythm section. And right away I'm like, whoa, what? And then the spotlight turns on, and it's Bon, and he's there with no shirt, super tight jeans. And then Angus takes off, and the hair on my arm stood straight up. I knew that I was seeing a phenomena. It was like I said, I saw all these bands. I had never heard anything like AC/DC ever. And I backed all the way up to the wall behind the soundboard. And I just stood there. I couldn't take my eyes, especially off of Bon. But when Angus first fell down, I thought it was a mistake. And I thought, ooh, that must have hurt, Yeah. And then he fell down again, and he's twirling around on his back, and I'm like, what is going on with this guy? And so they killed it. They had all these hits too already. They played Live Wire, Problem Child, Whole Lot of Rosie, Dirty Deeds,
Mhm.
High Voltage. They had all these songs. And at the end of the night, of course, the whole club wanted to say hello to them. So I waited for that. I kind of hung back until everybody was done, saying hello. And it was just me and the band in the dressing room. And I walked up to Bon and I said, "Oh my God, Bon, you blew my socks off." And he goes, "I did what?" And I was like,
I didn't get that.
yeah. I was like, "Oh, American slang. I'm sorry. You guys were amazing. You were amazing." And then, the band all wants to hear this, right? And so I don't know why I said it, but I said it's going to take 2 to 3 years, but you will be internationally famous. And
You said it. Mhm.
yeah, and I said someday, and I don't know why I said this. It just came out. I said, someday you're going to be as big as the Rolling Stones. And I didn't know that they idolized the Rolling Stones. I didn't know anything about them.
Oh.
And when I said that, they just, oh my God, they all cracked up laughing. Angus is on the couch. He sticks his foot up, pulls his shoe off, sticks his foot up my face, and he goes, "Oh, does that mean I can buy me some new socks?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Angus, you'll be able to buy yourself some new socks." So this Rolling Stone thing ended up being like a 40+ year joke between us, because they will not take a compliment. You can say anything and they won't accept a compliment. They'll say something back. And it's just funny. The very last time that I got to say, oh, thank you, Ruthie.
Ruthie's loving you. She's getting teary-eyed. So,
well, the very
so
last time that I
cute.
was able to say something to Angus about it was in Chicago after they played Wrigley Field in 2015. I did see him the following year, but that day, the next day I went over to the hotel and I gave them all my AC/DC FAQ book had come out. So I had copies for everybody. And as I was saying goodbye, as I always do, I said to Angus one more time, I said, "Now, can I say you're as big as the Rolling Stones?" And he says, "Nope. Mick and Keith will always be taller than us." So that's
They're so
yeah.
cute.
Oh yeah.
They're so cute.
They're humble. It sounded like they were a little bit more humble, not so egoic like we have expectations of so many celebrities, right?
Oh, they're like if they were in a restaurant somewhere and you didn't know who they were, you would never know that they were them, because they don't travel with a posse. I mean, Angus does have, like a bodyguard that the tour manager that travels with him, but you would never know that they were as famous as they are, because it's they always remembered how hard. I mean, they toured. When I wrote the book back in 2004, I got 2004. Sorry, I was hired to write the book, The Story of AC/DC, Let There Be Rock, and I had to cover 32 years of history at the time. And I had never written. I'd written 2 books for a smaller publisher before that, but I had never written for a major publisher, and it was a lot of pressure and everything. But I had to go back 32 years, and I literally broke it down like a week at a time. And I went for 7 years of their history before I found a 2-week break. That's how hard they worked.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I'm trying to find, I have all these pictures. Let me add it so we can talk while you're talking. I'm scrolling. So, yeah, go ahead, Sati.
I just want to ask you a quick question, Susan.
Okay.
How old were you when you met them?
I was 21.
Okay. That's what I thought.
And Angus had just turned 22.
Okay.
In March of that year. So we were pretty much the same age.
Yeah.
And, cool. Bon was the oldest. He was like 31. And anybody over 30 at that time was like old, which is so funny now, But I became friends with Barry Taylor, their roadie. And he's really the real reason why I got to hang out with the band all the time, because they, they'd come through, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Rockford, Illinois. And I would always get backstage, get to hang out with the guys. And what he did that night when I first met them is he took, because there was no, internet, there was no cell phones, you didn't have anything like that. And so he took my name and my address and my phone number, and he said, I'll keep in touch. And I thought, I'll probably never hear from him again. Well, he ended up calling or writing me every week for the next 3 years.
Wow.
So I knew everything the band was doing throughout from 1977 to 1980 up until Bon died. I mean, I did after, but I was really, closer to them before Bon passed. So
when was this one taken? Like these images, this is your iconic picture, that you use so much. So tell me about this.
Well, this was at it was August 3rd, 1978. Now they're opening for Aerosmith. Okay, so they're moving on up, and we would always take pictures. The photographer, Tom Giles, who took these pictures, he would always do band shots, for the cover of the paper or what have you. And then he'd say, jump in, get in there, get a picture. So the first one, I call this one, They're Behaving. Where they're all nice little smiles. And, yeah, everybody's like, we're so sweet. and as soon as he took the shot, Bon walked over to me. He put his head down on my shoulder and looked up at me and did one of his little squeals. And so I leaned my head onto Angus's shoulder, and I heard Tom click another shot. And that I love that picture so much. And
that is such a cool picture.
It is. Yeah.
Well, you can see how irritated Phil Rudd is, the drummer.
Yeah.
He's like,
well, my ex said about that picture, he said, well, Phil had a crush on you. And I said, no, he didn't. And he's like, yeah, he did. I mean, look at
that expression does say, it's like, I can't believe you're doing that. Not to my girl. Maybe you might have been right.
He was not happy. But best picture ever, though. I was so lucky to get to know Bon. It's not like, we were super close friends, but I got to hang out with him and, when they'd play, and then I'd always hang out in the dressing room with them. Like even when Aerosmith played, I spent my time in the dressing room with the band because, I'd see them on tour. So it would be months, before I'd see them again. So, and that night I still have the guitar pick. I was in the dressing room. I was in the dressing room with them after they had opened for Aerosmith, and they blew Aerosmith off the stage. They blew everybody off the stage.
Sure they do.
But I actually, I was giving them a hard time because this is like a year later, and there's no merchandise. There's no T-shirts. There's no anything. And I was, I was giving Angus a hard time about it. And
good for you.
He took his guitar pick and he flicked it at me. And he said, you Americans. He said, why would I buy something and then just throw it away? Like throwing the picks out into the audience and stuff. He said, why would I do that? And now look at their merchandise. They're on everything.
Right? Like they're my t-shirt.
Or including socks.
Yeah, everything.
His little devil is on socks now, But I still have the guitar pick because I think it was what he used on stage, and it was in his jeans pocket. And so he flicked it at me, and I still have it. So
that's awesome.
God. So who did you have? Like, tell me about dynamics. You had different relationships with all of them. Like, tell me a little bit about those dynamics and kind of your, some special moments or anything like that. Because that people love to hear. Ruthie's over there just dying, crying. We have multiple people crying on chat right now.
Well, there's so many memories, but one of my favorite ones, this was, to me, One of the best. Okay, now they're in Milwaukee, I believe 1979. They're opening for UFO. And so that meant that there was a backline of road cases across the backline, of the stage. And it's a Riverside Theater in Milwaukee, so it's like a movie theater kind of thing. And I was there with my sister. I brought my sister along, and I asked if we could watch from the stage as long as we weren't seen. And they said, yeah, if you want to, back when you could crouch down for 2 hours. Can't say I can do that anymore. But we hid behind the road cases. And so I was watching the band in between like some road cases. But I'm on the stage behind them. And we're crouched down so no one sees us, right? Well, they do their walkabout, and Angus got thanks to Ken Schaefer, who invented the cordless guitar. He was now cordless, which meant he could get on Bon's shoulders and they could go everywhere, without doing Barry used to have to do the cord, to make sure people didn't fall over it, that sort of thing. So they're free now. And they go up into the balcony and and the crowd is going crazy. And that was one of the most fun things, is watching the people in the audience, because they were like, they didn't know what to think. And so they do their walkabout, and then Bon comes back and he's back on stage. There's no Angus, but he's still playing. And I'm thinking, where'd he go? And all of a sudden I felt this quick tap on my right elbow. And I turned and I looked around, and Angus is crouched right behind me. He's playing like, crazy. And he looks at me and he goes like that. And so I leaned as far as I could, and he went running out on stage, and the crowd went insane. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. That was like one of the best experiences of my entire life, was that night, because it was so fun to feel that energy of them playing on that stage. And then later on, we were in the dressing room, and Bon always wanted you to laugh. He would do anything to make you laugh. So I'm sitting there with my sister and Angus, and we're just chatting while, again, UFO is playing, and I'm hanging out with the band. And Bon taps on the door, because the Riverside has a bunch of little rooms for like dressing rooms type of thing. And Bon was in one, and so he came into where we were. He tapped on the door, and he walked in with this tray, and it had all these little cups of like horseradish or something from the deli table. And I don't know, I think he cut himself shaving, and he took a drop of blood, and he put a drop of blood on each of those cups of horseradish. And he came in like a waiter, and he thought he was going to freak my sister out, right? Well, my sister, was in the Army for 15 years, and then she worked in the prison system after that. So it would take a lot to freak her out. And so he comes up to her and he slides the tray right underneath her face, and he says, "Would you like an hors d'oeuvre, madam?" And she just looked down at it, and she looked up at Bon, and she said, "You're going to need a transfusion, because these are already coagulating," or whatever.
Coagulating, yeah.
Yeah, coagulating. And he laughed so hard he almost dropped the tray, and he went twirling out of the room, and you could hear him laughing all the way down the hall. It was so funny.
Awesome.
So Bon was
that was the least thing I would have thought that she would have said. That's so awesome.
Oh yeah, no, he just cracked up so hard, and she never blinked an eye at it. She was like, So Bon was amazing. He was a really, irreplaceable. And then this is on the the one on the right with Malcolm, that is on, I believe, the Ball Breaker tour. That was in 95. And that was in Milwaukee. And then this picture on the left with my sister Lori, my other sister that got to meet them. This was on the Black Ice tour in Chicago in, I believe it was 2009. I saw them 4 times on the Black Ice tour. So that was really cool, because, Malcolm was still in the band. And
you got all kinds of, I don't want to pivot too much out of, well, yeah, we probably need to pivot, because here, here's the other part of your, so take us now, so you've spent all this time with ACDC, so talk to us about Van Halen. Because this picture, I love your story of this picture. You have to share it, but tell us, then tell us how you got there, because you guys check out this picture. It cracks me up.
Well,
Talking
okay,
to chat.
February. Okay, so I'm an ACDC freak. After I met them, that's all I cared about. That's all I talked about. They were my world. And February of 1978, we would get albums in the mail at the paper. We came out every 2 weeks, and I had started working for a new paper called the Emerald City Chronicle, and so we would get albums in the mail. And one day we got this red vinyl album with 4 songs on it. The first one was Eruption by a band out of California with 2 brothers called Van Halen. And we put the needle on that vinyl and my brain exploded. It's literally, I was just like, what, whoa, And so then we were freaking out, because now Van Halen is going to go on tour with Montrose and Journey. And they were coming to Madison. And we were, oh my God, we were over the moon about it. Well, the bands were booked at the Orpheum Theater down on State Street here in Madison. And the Orpheum Theater decided that they didn't want to deal with 3 bands. So they gave Van Halen the night off. And when we heard that, we were like, no. So yeah, my editor, Michael, I'm the one that I set up the tickets and the photo passes. So I worked with all the record labels. And right away, Michael says to me, call Warner Brothers and see if you can get them booked into a club. And I was like, good idea. I like it, And I called my contact. Her name was Mary. She worked at Warner Brothers. And I told her our dilemma. I said, they were in Madison for 3 days, March 6th, 7th, and 8th of 1978. Well, the Tuesday, that night that the bands played the Orpheum, the Van Halen were not playing anywhere. And I told her, I said, this cannot happen. I mean, we have got so many people hyped to see these guys, and you're going to let them sit in a hotel room? I said, I don't think so. So I gave her 2 phone numbers, one to Headliners and one to the Shuffle Inn, which were 2 main, music clubs. And about 2 or 3 hours later, Mary called me back and she said, we booked him into the Shuffle Inn. I hope that works. And oh my God, I mean, we were freaking out. And we came out every other Tuesday, sorry. And so the word about town was that they were going to play, but nobody knew where. So the Tuesday they played the club was the same day the paper came out saying, guess who's at the Shuffle Inn tonight? And that club probably had maybe a 400 capacity, 500. I'm not good at estimating, but we got there early, of course, because, we could. We were the paper that they were going to interview them and everything and put them on the cover. And so I got to go downstairs, and the Shuffle was like your dad's rec room, shag carpet, couches, very laid back, if those walls could talk. And so we hung out with the band, and Eddie, I had a huge crush on Eddie. I really did. David is used to women, falling all over him. I was kind of like, hey, Dave, but they were intimidating, because, they were Alex was a troublemaker. Believe me, he was like the main troublemaker.
Really?
But Eddie had a little practice amp and of course a guitar. And he said, would you like to hear the first song that I ever learned on the guitar? And it was Pipeline. And so he played that for us. And they had one bathroom to change in the dressing room, right? So they're getting ready. A local band, kind of local, Ruby Starr. If you look her up, she was quite the singer. She had a band called Ruby Starr and the Lucy Gray Band or something to that. They were opening. And so the band's downstairs getting ready. So they're all using the bathroom to get changed, right? And I'm hanging out with Dave. Dave was really fun, super nice, super smart, just cracking, whatever jokes and things like that. Well, he he changed into his leather pants in front of me, and he didn't ask me to turn around, and I didn't offer. So
You're like,
I'm
okay.
yeah, I don't mind. If you don't mind, I don't mind. So I saw a little more of Dave. Later on, people saw more of Dave, with his chats, like that. But but I think
I'm
he
not going
was.
to say if that was fun, but I'm sure that was fun.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. Yeah, he was beautiful. I mean, beautiful man. I totally appreciated it, and I think he got a kick out of the fact that it didn't faze me at all. I was just like, yeah, whatever, good looking there, Dave. And so they played, and when they played, I got up in front of the asking inappropriate. Oh, go ahead, you can.
Ruthie's on fire. No, we know what she was going to ask for.
Oh.
It was a very David Lee Roth question, but go ahead, keep going, Susan.
So
Ruthie's going nuts on the chat. By the way, you're going to see she is so happy. Go ahead.
Oh well, so the band plays, and there was like a small stage in the corner, and there was like a little bit of a dance floor, and then kind of a like a fence or a gate thing, that followed the dance floor. So I got right up to the gate in front of the band, and there was so many people in that club that night that you couldn't go get a drink, you couldn't use the bathroom. If you did, you'd lose your spot. So I watched them play, which again, mind blowing. And after the show that night, we go downstairs, and my photographer, Tom Giles, or the paper's photographer, he took pictures of the band for the cover of the Chronicle. And then he says, jump in. Yes, Ruby Starr was with Black Oak, Arkansas. Thank you for recognizing her. She was awesome. But when he tells me to jump into the picture, I'm like, I'm intimidated by these guys, and I'm thinking somebody's going to grope me. I know it. It's going to happen, right? So you can see my attitude. I walked up to them, and I looked at all four of them, and I said, do not touch me, or there's no picture. And then I, like that, take your picture. And Dave is like slightly touching me, holding my arm. Michael is behaving. Alex is not really behaving because his hair is up against my face, and Eddie bends down. I don't know what Eddie's doing. I have these dress pants on that are wide leg dress pants. If I would have felt that, I would have punched him. He would have got shot right in the face. But my photographer starts giggling, and the band is giggling, and I'm thinking, what's so funny? What's going on? And then the next day, I go back to the paper, and the photographer hands me a 5x10 of this picture, and he says, now you know why we were laughing so hard. And I have an autograph from Eddie that says, to Sue, I love your thighs, with like about 20 exclamation points. And so that night we went back to the Sheraton Hotel to terrorize the 7th floor once again. That's in their dedication on their second album, that they trashed the 7th floor. And so they did a lot of things. They threw furniture out the windows. They switched furniture back and forth. They took, this was a favorite that they did. They would take frozen fish and duct tape it to like the ceiling of the hallway, and then it would melt and drip. So that was one of their little tricks.
God.
Oh yeah, they love stuff like that. So we're at the party, and we're on this bed, me and Alex. Alex decided, I had a crush on Eddie, and Alex wasn't having it. Alex decided that he liked me, and was the end of the story. So we're on this bed, and there's actually a tape recorder that's recording the party. And I that was Michael St. John, my editor. That was his recording, and it was never found. He passed away in, I think, 1991. And working on his own book, because we always said we knew at the time that we were seeing history. We were seeing, everybody. I mean, Journey, Cheap Trick, AC/DC, Van Halen, all these bands are on their way up. And so we're in the party, and Dave, this woman is like all over him, right? She's just like drooling all over Dave. And Alex is like, touching me. He's like, watch Dave, watch Dave. And okay, I'm watching Dave. And so he lets her like, just do the massive flirting. Okay. Dave stands up, looks right at her, says it loud enough for everybody to hear. You remind me of a girl from high school. And she got all like, oh, and then he goes, she was obvious too. And he walked away.
Oh my God.
Oh my, I was like, whoa. I don't want to be on the bad end of Dave ever. And so
Really?
Alex, oh yeah, no, he just, right. She was obvious too, just walked away from her. And Alex, he's like, they're waiting for roadies to come back with more beer, right? And they had the cops called on them so many times in those 3 days they stayed at the Sheridan that they just put a cop car in the parking lot. They got tired of sending people back and forth. So that night, Alex says, come on, let's see if the roadies are back. Let's go down to the lobby. I thought, why not? I'm a journalist. In my mind, I'm like, I'm adventurous. I'm like, whatever you got. I underestimated Alex. So we get in the elevator alone, and on every floor he hits the emergency button. So he's setting off alarms on every floor, and I'm thinking, why? Why? And so we stop I think it was about the 4th floor. He stops and he tells me to hold the doors open with my, the button. And okay. And he jumps out of the elevator, he turns around, and he puts his head in between the doors, and then he says, let the doors close. And I'm like, no. I don't think so. I that would not be a safe thing to do. And in my mind, I'm thinking, journalist kills Van Halen drummer, freak elevator accident, So we're arguing, right? And so he gets the point. He's like, we're not going anywhere until you let the doors close. And so I took my finger off the button. I said, fine. And the doors closed and popped open when they hit his head. Now, do not try this, people. Do not. I always say this. This is very dangerous, and nobody should be doing any of that. So he thinks that this is the funniest thing ever. He's just laughing. And he liked to pick me up a lot. And he literally picked me up and threw me out in the hallway like a football and said, now you're doing it. And I'm like, I'm looking up and down the hall. I'm thinking, can I outrun him? I don't think I can. He's bigger than me. There's no way.
Oh my God.
And so we're arguing again. And finally, I just get to the point, I put my head between the doors and I said, fine, do it. And when the doors hit your head, luckily they bounced open, but it sounds like your head's being crushed. The noise in your head it's not painful, but it's like, doors are crushing your head. And doors popped open. Alex laughed so hard, he backed up against the wall, slid down to the floor, and he was crying. He was laughing so hard. And I said, what is so funny? And he goes, I've tried. The band won't do it. The crew won't do it. I have never been able to find anybody to do this until you. And after that, the band was I think they were a little afraid of me.
They probably should be. Hey, I think we lost. Did you lose your lamp, by the way? Look at your lighting real quick. I'm going to say hi to a couple of people while you look. Susan. Your light got darker. If you want to go a little bit brighter, because oh my God, we got so many comments. I'm gonna just pop up some while you look at that.
Turn on another light. I'll be right back. I'm gonna try that. I don't know why it got darker.
Yeah, it got darker for a minute, and it was still dark. So, oh my God, isn't this awesome, Sati?
It is
like crazy.
I love it. Great stories, excellent stories.
Here we go.
This is life. We got,
Okay.
take a moment. It's almost an hour of storytelling already.
I know.
It was like 10 minutes.
I
Dude, I
know.
can't believe it's been almost an hour. This is
I know.
crazy
Oh my
because we're
God.
having, hey, you don't, Susan, I do want to be mindful of your time, but we are the chat and we are having a fantastic time. If you don't have a like hard stop, we're just going to let it flow. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, no,
You're
I'm having
having
a
a good
great
time,
time.
aren't you? Oh
Yeah.
my
It
God.
is.
People are like, one of the comments, which was so awesome, they're like, I cannot believe that I'm hearing this tea. Oh, by the way, your light looks great now, so you're
Oh,
back to
good.
normal.
Good.
So somebody was saying, I can't believe I'm listening to this tea, and I'm like, dude, your life. So Alex was kind of the clown and
Mhm.
kind of had a crush on you.
Oh, big time. Yeah, yeah. About 2 weeks later, actually, we were the first paper in the United States to put Van Halen on the cover.
Oh, wow.
So Warner Brothers loved us. So a couple weeks later, they were playing the Loop radio station in Chicago, their birthday party in Schaumburg, Illinois, and we had papers with them on the cover that we, were bringing to the band. And
Mhm.
when we saw them play again in a club again, which was what a blessing. I mean, amazing. We brought papers, and I brought the guy that I was dating with me, and Alex was not happy at all. We were in the dressing room, and that's how I got all their autographs on the cover. But Alex decided to throw me over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and wouldn't let me down. He, just kept walking around, talking to people, and he wanted to irritate my boyfriend, who is a guitar player, and all he wanted to do was look at Eddie's guitars. So he didn't care at all. Yeah,
He
I'm
was
on
fine
Alex's
with you
shoulder.
being carried by
He's
Alex
just
everywhere.
carrying me around and on his shoulder, and my boyfriend is like, I want to see Eddie's guitars. I don't really care what you're doing. Alex they were all pranksters, but Alex was very much a troublemaker. He really was. He was a lot of fun.
So tell me about Eddie. Tell me a
He
little
was
bit
super sweet, really quiet, very soft spoken, and just adorable. And actually, during that party that I was at, he wasn't in the party. And again, Alex grabbed me and he goes, "Come on, let's find out where Eddie is. Where's Ed?" And so we went into another hotel room, and Eddie is sitting in the room all by himself, eating an apple. And he's sitting on the bed, and we walk in, and Alex is like, "Come on, man, come on over to the party. What the hell are you doing here?" And Eddie shoved his apple at me to take a bite. And I was so stunned, I couldn't say anything. So he kind of held it up, and then he took it back and started eating it himself. And I'm thinking, what would have happened if I would have taken a bite of that apple,
Oh man, it's like how many stories end with that? Oh, they're taking a bite of that apple.
Yeah, if I had
That is
taken a bite of that apple.
That is so funny.
Diane
Was
wanted
he-
to know if you ever. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sati. You go first.
No, go for it.
Well,
Really.
yeah, I never met Valerie because by the time they met and got married and everything, they were, I saw them like open for Black Sabbath, and this was before he met Valerie. So I met him a couple years before he met her, and then they got married in '81, and I was never able to meet her. But she doesn't have a picture like that.
Yep. No, she don't. So
No,
did
she
you have a
doesn't.
question, Sati? Did you want to ask?
I was actually just going to ask. Eddie Van Halen always struck me as a very humble guy and shy. Was he shy?
Yes,
Okay,
very
because
much.
I always
Yep.
got that energy off of him. And
Mhm.
I mean, one of the greatest guitar players ever of all time.
Of all time.
However,
One of them, yes.
I just always, every interview I saw him do, he always just seemed to be the one that was so humble, kind of more laid back, more shy, didn't want to be front and center because he just wanted to play guitar. I just want to rip.
Exactly.
I just want to rip.
Yeah, well, and that's what he would do. Like when they played in Milwaukee, God, I think it was 78 or 79 by then. we sat, my boyfriend and I sat in the dressing room and talked to David the whole time Black Sabbath was playing, but Eddie was in another room just playing his guitars by himself. So he did that a lot, where you'd find him, he would be alone, he'd be by himself and just
That's what I
playing
thought.
away.
Yeah, I just felt that. I just felt that off of his energy. And I'm thinking this is a perfect opportunity because I've never spoken to anybody that ever met him. So I'm so glad because I just always had that feeling so deep that that's who he is. A little bit different than a lot of celebrities, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, him, you know, but I say this, I was flown out to California to LA in 2003, and this is long before DVDs kind of thing. And this man was producing a documentary called Van Halen, the early years, and they flew me out to LA to record, you know, that interview. And you know, now people are still seeing that. You know, you can find that on YouTube, but at the time, I didn't think it would be anything. You know, it was kind of like, oh yeah, they want to do a video, you know, where's that going to go? And, you know, but then over the years in, was it 2021, I was invited to record a interview for, on the Reels channel, Behind the Music. It was Breaking the Band, AC/DC. So I appear in that. And then in the same year, I got invited, I was living in Savannah, Georgia at the time. And they invited they flew me up to Madison, to my hometown, and they wanted me to do an interview for the Reels channel frontman, David Lee Roth. And we did it in the Roth room, which is a conference room in the Sheraton Hotel on the 7th floor, that they took some of their rooms and they made it into a conference room. It's called the Roth room for legal reasons. But I did a book signing there in 2020. When my book came out, Let There Be Rock was updated in 2020. So I came up and did that interview, and I also did a book signing, but they wanted me to see the Roth room right away. And that's got some great, I gave them a lot of memorabilia for that room. But as soon as I walked in and I saw that it was called the Roth room, I said, oh man, Eddie and Alex are going to hate this.
Yeah, because they made it the Roth room and it's
the Roth room. It's like, what? And talking about spooky stories, I have 2 rooms at the Sheraton. I have 3 girlfriends, 2 in one room, me and my friend in the other room. Now, I got to know Eddie Money, and I partied with Eddie Money's band at the Sheraton.
Loved Eddie Money.
Oh, he's so sweet. He was so sweet, and what a voice. But I was we were staying for 2 nights, and we're in our now my 2 friends, Tamara and Dawnette, they're psychics, and they're in the other room, and then I'm with my other girlfriend Dawn in our own room. And even when all of us were together, somebody kept making noise in the bathroom. And, you know, everybody would stop and, you know, and I started calling the noise Eddie, because Eddie Money had passed. And I figured, I think Eddie Money's messing with us. So I kept calling him Eddie. And he made a lot of noise. You know, there's definitely somebody that was messing with us. So the very second night that we were there, that we had more than one incident where we were like, what was that? You know, and I said, it's Eddie. I said, come on now, it's called the Roth room, get over it, or, you know, whatever. But I was thinking more of Eddie Money. Right. I did not know that Eddie Van Halen was literally on his deathbed. I had no idea.
Well, that's when it was happening.
So the second night we go to bed, my girlfriend falls asleep. Well, the first night I went to sleep. I tried to go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. And all of a sudden, somebody came up to me on the left side where he is in that picture. And I'm in bed trying to sleep, and somebody came up and in my ear went, and I thought in my head, I said, either leave or climb in so I can go to sleep. And I just, you know, whatever, I went to sleep. So the next night, my girlfriend falls asleep before me. I'm laying there in the dark, And all of a sudden she lets out this blood curdling scream in the dark in this hotel room. And I'm like, you freeze, what's going on? And I sit up and I look over at her and I'm like, are you okay? And she said, oh my God, this guy just came up to me and shoved his face in my face and scared the hell out of me. And again, I was like, Eddie, come on, man, give us a break here. And we left. We celebrated my birthday on October 3rd. We were there on the 4th. The day that I checked out, Jump came on the radio as I was leaving the parking lot. And 2 days later, Eddie passed away. And I didn't know that he was that close to dying. And part of me thinks that he did not like the Roth Room.
But he was,
and he was making sure that we knew he was there. And it was just so, because my girlfriend, I mean, you don't want to hear your friend in the dark scream like that in a hotel.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so he whoever it was having fun playing with us. So that was
crazy. So I'm going to pop up a couple of pictures, but I'd love to hear, because we got so much to cover. We want to cover more of your spooky stories, but I do want to show, it was like, my goodness, you're all over the place. So there's you and Cheap Trick.
Yep, there's Cheap Trick. And I actually ended up working for their fan club because their manager lived here in Madison, Ken Adamany. And after I left the paper that I was writing for, I ended up working for Cheap Trick for a while. And
wow.
So
you're live, girl. You're live. It's like, that's just awesome stuff.
It's just crazy. I mean, it keeps going because, I ended up moving to New York for a while, and which made you feel random. Hugs from all of them. I mean, Angus, Malcolm, Bon, they all Ted Nugent.
Nugent, yeah, you have pictures with Ted Nugent in here too.
Yeah, Ted liked to hug, but all of them. I mean, but especially Bon, because that when they opened for Aerosmith that night, the quick story about Bon, he was, they were now coming up. They were coming up. And he had a new haircut, and they still had the same clothes, but they were leaving Alpine Valley, and I didn't get a formal goodbye from Bon, and I'm in the hallway, and he's walking away from me, and I look at him, and I think, well, he's becoming a big rock star now. I mean, he doesn't have to say goodbye, right? And as soon as I thought that, he stopped and turned around, did a 180, walked right up to me, grabbed me, kissed me, said, Susie, so good to see you. See you again. And then he took off. And that was
he heard you. Like he heard, like.
Yeah, he did.
He had thoughts.
Yeah, because I literally said that. I said, he's becoming a rock star now. He's going to be very famous. So he's not going to always be that attentive. And nope. They never changed that. Awesome. AC/DC in particular, but like Van Halen in that early years DVD that I said in my interview, I said that Van Halen was like looking at, in 15 minutes we're going to be world famous. They knew it. They absolutely knew it. But it didn't happen as fast for AC/DC, but they still did it.
That's incredible.
So your life, all your stories. So, by the way, do you still keep up with Alex?
I haven't. No, not over the years. And here's I would like to. I read his book, Brothers. That was a great book. But that's this picture is with Lonesome Dave Peverett and Rod Price from Foghat. And then there's Ted, of course. And I tried to sit next to him to take a picture. And as I was walking in front of him, he grabbed me and put me in his lap, put his arm around me, and he goes, "This one's for Ma." Because his mother, Ma Nugent, wrote an article for, I think it was Circus Magazine. She had
Mhm.
her own column, and she loved AC/DC. So I used to hang out with Ma all the time backstage when
Right on.
AC/DC were playing. So that was, yeah, Ted said, this one's for Ma.
This was for Ma. Hold on, because I mean, okay, people are loving you so much, and now people want you in a series. So
Oh,
we're gonna have to have a whole series about Susan Masino, and that's totally okay. So we got. I just want to squeeze in a couple.
well,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You have.
uh, what's my favorite song from AC/DC
Yeah.
is definitely Let There Be Rock. And then one of their most underrated songs, I think, is anything on the Power Rage album. I mean, Riff Raff and, well, Down Payment Blues. My name is in that song. And
Ooh.
I was in touch with them while they were recording that album. And Barry, I'm a blonde, totally, because he said more than once that he helped Bon with some lyrics. And I was like, oh, that's nice, And he said it a couple times to me over the next, year of, I helped Bon with some of the lyrics. And I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. That's nice. And then like 30 years later, I'm studying every song and I see my name, Bon called me Susie. I can't say for sure, but I have a feeling that he was referring to me in Down Payment Blues. So that would be another one that is underrated. I love that song.
Awesome.
Anything on that album is a great album. One of the best, I think.
Everybody's just going nuts. They're like, I can't believe her. I love her so much. One of the comments that I saw, and it's really cool ones, like they said that this is the closest that we'll get to
Oh,
actually being at a concert with AC/DC. It was Ruthie. I can't find the comment right now, but
yeah.
it was awesome because it's like she's a super fan, but she's very young. So it's like she's kind of listening to what you're saying and just
Mm.
reliving through. We're living vicariously through you, basically, Susan. Just
Well,
I have a
anybody out
yes.
there, real quick, I would love to have my book Rock and Roll Fantasy made into a movie. So if anybody out there has got any connections, let me know. What's your
Criminal
question?
fantasy.
Yeah.
My question, and please know that you can choose not to answer the question, but
Okay.
I'm one of these people, I just throw stuff out there. And I'm curious if you were in relationships with somebody while you were doing this or not, did any of them try to date you or did you ever date any of the band members from these bands at all? I just would thought, it's a perfect opportunity. I mean, you're getting to know these people really well. And I didn't know if you were single at the time or
Well,
not.
yeah, I was single and dating at the time, and I got offers. I turned down Bon Scott more than once because with AC/DC, I was a kid, but I knew that if I crossed that line with any, and I hate to say this, sorry to Mrs. Williams, but if Cliff Williams, he was so beautiful. And I did an interview with them in December of 77 of all 5 band members. And during that interview, Cliff kept giving me his hotel room number. And
Oh my God.
I regret that. But I turned down Keith Emerson of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Ted Nugent, Alex Van Halen. Yeah, I mean,
big one to turn down, man.
oh, my regret is Bon Scott. I mean, come on. What was I thinking, right? What was I
He
thinking?
was so cute. He's so
Oh,
pretty.
but I did cross boundaries the night that I partied with Kiss. And that is in my Rock and Roll Fantasy book because I had to cover them the night before I was going to see AC/DC for the second time. So I didn't want to cover Kiss. I was not a big fan. Sorry to your Kiss fans out there, but I was not a big Kiss fan. I was an AC/DC girl.
Yeah.
So, you show me all the makeup and the costumes and everything. And I'm like, yeah,
Nice.
great, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I review the show, and then myself and my girlfriend, we get invited to the after party at the Edgewater Hotel, Governor's Suite. You had to have a name to get in. So he gave us a name, and I wanted to go home. and get ready to go to Milwaukee the next day. And my girlfriend was, a Paul Stanley fan, crazy fan. And we're going to that party. What are you, crazy? We're going to that party. So we go to the party. And we get in the lobby of the Edgewater. And of course, there's people outside, trying to like find a way in. And so we hit the button and the elevator doors open. And Paul Stanley and his bodyguard is in the elevator without makeup. Now, this is before, anyone had ever seen them without makeup. Yeah. And I thought my girlfriend was going to faint right there. And so I just kind of looked at him, and he looked at his bodyguard, he looked at us, and then he went like this, and the bodyguard went and let us ride up to the party. Well, he still had to give a name to get in, even though we were walking in with Paul Stanley. But I heard that night that Gene Simmons was looking for a companion for the evening. Let's put it that way. And he had hit on a married woman, and her husband wasn't very happy about it. So they got thrown out of the party. Right. So right away, I'm like, stay away from Gene Simmons and don't get thrown out of the party. That was my goal. Okay. and this is when he was known for taking pictures of all the women that he slept with. Mm-hmm. So the guys at the paper, I'm still, one of the only girls. So they're like, when I would come back with an interview, it's like, oh, what'd you have to do to get that interview? Or, they were always, giving me a hard time. Yeah. And they were saying, don't get in that book. Don't end up in that book. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go to the party, and Paul Stanley's there. I see Peter and Ace without makeup on. I don't recognize them. They were doing some heavy substances in a different room, and the record rep thought it would be cool if we went to that room, and they had some girls around them, and they were like pretty out of it already. This is after the show that night. They played the Coliseum on December 3rd of 1977. And so Gene finally shows up at the party. Now he's about, in his platforms, he's got to be at least 6'7", maybe taller. He's got a pan velvet dark brown jumpsuit. He's got all these gold chains, this big afro, and in his belt buckle, it's plexiglass with a tarantula in it.
What?
Very, very, very friendly looking guy, right?
Yeah.
So my goal was to stay away from him. I'm staying away from him. I'm not talking to him. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to meet him. I'm good. So every time, and he could see everybody because he was so tall, So I'll be getting to that. Last comment. I'll be getting to that.
Getting big.
It's getting better. So I am like avoiding Gene. That is my goal. And so then Ace and Peter finally show up to the party, and Ace keeps trying to talk to me. He keeps like, come over by me, come here. And I'm like, no. No. Yeah. And I'm hiding from Gene. Now this is a no interview part of the tour, right before they did their solo albums. So there was a no interview policy. Okay. Well, Ace wanted to meet me. He really, he's like, kept coming, come over. So finally I thought, well, I'm going to get some quotes out of him for my article, And so I sat down and I hung out with Ace, and he was very funny, very, very funny. He made me laugh. And what he loved is that I wasn't a fan at all. Yeah. I'm sorry, but
funny.
You're not doing it for me. And they each had a bodyguard. And every time they went to the bathroom, the bodyguard would stand in front of the bathroom door, And so when Ace would come out of the bathroom, I'm like, I picked on him. I was picking on him. And I said, oh, do you think you're going to get kidnapped in the bathroom? Somebody's going to be in there waiting for you, And he had this, Brooklyn, New York accent. He kept calling me a character. And he's like, a character. And he's like, can you believe the way she talks to me? I can't believe she talks to me this way. And so I was just like very nonchalant about, yeah, you're in Kiss. That's great. Lucky you. And
Oh my God.
so I was getting bored. So I said to my girlfriend, I said, let's go check the party out downstairs again. Let's see what's going on. So we go out in the hallway, we go to the elevator. I don't know where Gene is. I didn't notice that he was not at the party anymore. So we hit the elevator button. The elevator doors open, and I look right into a tarantula. That's how short I am to him, right? I look right into a tarantula, and I look up and I go, oh, hell no. And I turned around and I started walking down the hall like, I'm out of here. And so Gene starts chasing me. And he's walking really fast, and he's trying to stop me. And he's like, "Hey, my name is Gene, and what's your name? I'd really like to meet you." And I'm not having any of this. I'm like, no, this is not happening. So we get to the end of the hallway. I'm out of home.
Did he show you his tongue? Did he show you his tongue?
I saw it so much during the concert, I wouldn't have noticed if he did it again. But I ran out of hallway. I had no more hallway. Okay. So, and he's leaning over me, and I'm 5'5". So he's like a foot and a half taller than me. And he's leaning over me, and he says, what's your name? And I looked down at his boots, and I said, oh, those are cool boots. Can I see them? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. And he leaned over and pulled his pant leg up. And as soon as he leaned over, I ran out of the exit door like 100 miles an hour. And my girlfriend's chasing me. And we're going down stairs. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, escaping from Gene Simmons. What do you think I'm doing? And so we run down about 3-4 flights of stairs and come out an exit door. And I ran right into Ace and Peter. Slammed right into them. And Ace looks at me and he goes, I've been looking for you. Where you been? And so we end up in this room with him and, their bodyguards and Peter, Chris, and me and my girlfriend and Ace. And he's got a big anvil case full of French champagne. So, and there had been drugs throughout the evening that I talk about in my book. Not Gene and Paul, but Ace and Peter, Chris. And again, they left the band not too far after that because of that. But I ended up partying with Ace, and every time we ran out of champagne, I'd slam my fist on the table and say, open another bottle, you can afford it. And so we're getting trashed. And it's forget about it. You're going to Milwaukee tomorrow. You're not getting any sleep. It's not happening. Right. So Ace keeps trying to get me to leave with him to go to his room. Ooh. Now this is like, for me, that was against all my boundaries and all my, bylaws, whatever you had. But he made me laugh so hard that after I don't know, the 10th time that he was like, let's ditch this. I did, Ace. I did.
Good Ace. That
Yep,
just happened.
I did him.
You did Ace. You did Ace. Breaking news, you guys.
It's in my book, but I did Ace. And the funniest part though is when we first went in his room and we were making out, and his bodyguard is pounding on the door, Mr. Fraley. And then he opens the door and he comes bursting in, and Ace looks over at him and he goes, you want to keep your job, you better shut that door right now. And he, I'm sorry. And he backs out and he shuts the door. And I look over at Ace and I go, that's what you get for hiring minimum wage help. And he laughed so hard. So yeah, I did Ace. And at the end of the night, when the sun is up now, Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he was good.
Boston B. Yeah, he was good. But as we're leaving, the sun's coming up now. It's like 7 a.m. I have to leave for Milwaukee at like noon at the latest. So I'm complaining to Ace. in his room. We're saying goodbye, and he takes the new Kiss album, or the latest one that was out, and he hands it to me. He says, "Here, take this." And I looked at it and I flung it back like a frisbee. And I said, like, I'm going to listen to that. And he just, oh my God, he laughed so hard. And then I said, I'm going to Milwaukee today to see a real band. They're called AC/DC. And he goes, oh my God, they're opening for us. Oh, I love them. I love them. And I said, well, they're going to blow your asses off the stage. So get ready. And he thought that was the funniest thing. And then I said to him, thanks to you, I'm not getting any sleep. And I got to go to Milwaukee and cover AC/DC and do an interview tonight. And he says, I got something for you. So he goes into his jacket and he hands me this little bag of white powder. It was crystal meth.
Oh.
And he said, use this. It'll keep you up. It did keep me up. It also gave me a nosebleed. But
oh, dang.
Thanks to Ace, I was able to stay up, yes. But the funniest part is about 2 weeks later, AC/DC's opening for Kiss. And Barry would call me from, payphones everywhere, right? From all different countries and all that. Well, he calls me one night when they're in Indiana with Kiss. He's backstage. I can hear Kiss in the background. And I didn't want anybody to know about Ace at all. I was just like mortified. Like, what were you thinking? And he calls me, gets me on the phone, and he goes, what did you do to Gene Simmons? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What did I do to Gene Simmons? He's like, he's telling everybody about you. He's talking about, if you ever go to Madison, there's this blonde, crazy journalist that you have to meet. And the guys in AC/DC laughed and said, oh, we know Sue. She's a friend of ours. And then Gene lost it. He totally lost it. And I had to call him to try to get an interview out of him while he was still in Madison. A couple days later, I had to actually call him. And as soon as I got on the phone with him, he's like, why wouldn't you stop and tell me your name? What happened? So I think I might be the only woman that ran away from Gene Simmons.
You hurt Gene's feelings.
I did. I think I humbled him down a little bit for an hour or two.
It's good, though.
Mustn't be like because of this.
I did not stroke his ego. No, I might have stroked Ace's though.
Yeah.
His ego?
I'm sorry.
Say that. I was hoping you would say that. I'm like, yeah.
I do stand-up comedy now, so nothing's off limits to me, but I'm trying to keep it family friendly here.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah, so, oh my God.
The channel is called Mind Fork and Cosmic Carousel. I think you can do whatever you want.
Well, and on top of it, my girlfriend, of course, tells her boyfriend about Ace, so everybody knows. And a couple days later, I come back to the paper, and my editor comes walking down the hall, and he hands me a guitar pick and says, I think you might want this. And he drops it in my hand, and it's an Ace Frehley guitar pick.
Everyone knew.
Everybody knew. I just, tried to keep it under wraps.
God, Susan.
Wasn't able to, but no one else. I turned down a lot of guys that I wish I hadn't, especially Bon. I should have gave him a whirl.
That's the one that you should have just gone for, man.
I should have. Keith Emerson.
So pretty. Yeah, no. He was so pretty. Tell us more tea. What other tea you got? Because after that, we're gonna pivot. We're doing like spooky and rock, and then we're gonna pivot to reincarnation and that phase of the secrets of the universe. But we want to. The team in the chat is having such a good time. We wouldn't want to stop you from sharing any more secrets because they're gonna. Ruthie's ready. She's like, she's getting your book. She might have already gotten it. She might have already started it. She's so excited about all this. She's like, I love her so much. She said you're her spirit animal.
Yeah.
So any other dishy tea that you'd like to throw? to
Well,
entertain our folksies.
I went. This is just funny. Not. I don't know if it's tea or not, but
Mhm.
um, let's see. This was in 1978. There was the Grand Slam Jam in Milwaukee, headlining Ted Nugent, Cheap Trick, Journey, and Heart. And there were about 35,000 people at our outdoor concert, and everybody had tents along, behind the stage. And I had interviewed Ted the night before in his hotel room, and my editor had been drinking all day, so he passed out on one of the beds. So Ted and I are eating a bag of Bing cherries, and I'm interviewing him, and I have to go back to Madison, and this is my editor, my boss, and he tries to say, "I'll get you a hotel room so you can stay over. You need to ditch that guy." And I'm thinking, I'm seeing Ted like swinging from the chandeliers in a loincloth. I'm like, no, this is not for me. I'm sorry. And so I told him, I said, no. I said, he's my boss. I said, I have to drive him home. I can't. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so I leave. I come back the next day, and we're watching Cheap Trick from up on the stage. And my future boss, Ken Adamany, threw us off the stage, said we couldn't stand there. If you want to see the band, you need to go out in front. Well, I'm not going out in front. There's 35,000 people out there, and we're doing interviews with people and all that. So, and I'm a little diva, I'm a little like, you threw me off the stage. It's like,
how dare you?
Dare you do that?
Don't you know who I am?
I know. It's like, aren't you aware of what I do? And so Ted shows up, right? And I run up to him right away, being a little baby that I am. And I said, Ted, we got thrown off the stage. We couldn't watch Cheap Trick from the stage. So I want to be able to see you. And he looks at me, and the hair flying in the wind. And he looks down at me and he goes, "Baby, when I go on stage, you go on stage." And I didn't think anything of that. I just thought, okay, sounds good. And we were hanging out with him in his tent. And he said, "I got a song that's going to be coming out. I want to know what you think." So he sat down right next to me with his Birdland guitar and his Werner's ginger ale that he always had. And he played Good Friends and a Bottle of Wine to my face, like right here. And he played it and sang it, and then looked at me and he said, "What do you think?" He said, "Hit song, Ted. Hit song. You got it." And so we had to leave when he was getting dressed to get ready to go on stage. And this is when he was wearing like his, white stretch pants with the suspenders and the foxtail on the back, and his hair is down in the middle of his back, and he's got the white bandana, and, he's Ted. And so we're all standing in a line as they proceed to go up on stage. And as Ted walks by me, he grabs me by the wrist and he says, "Come on, we're going on stage." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." Yeah. He says, "Oh yeah, you are." And he dragged me up on stage in front of 35,000 people. He found a spot to the right of the drum riser, and he pointed at that spot. He pointed at his tour manager and pointed at me like, "She stands here." I was so close to the band, I should have been playing an instrument or something. I mean, it was crazy. So I got to watch the band from like being on stage with them. It was so funny because, yeah, he was serious. It's like, I'm going on stage, you're going on with me.
That is so wild. Go ahead. That is.
It is crazy.
I would have passed out. Like, to be on stage with that. I mean, I would have passed out.
I know. He was so funny, and somebody like was throwing like water at him or something from the up on stage, and he says, "If you do that one more time, I'm gonna piss in your face."
What?
And I'm like, "That's Ted." So there's another picture of us from that day after the show. We're talking, and I'm sitting, right next to him, and he's got his arm around me and everything. And I got a picture. We did a like a second volume picture of the first one of me and Ted, pretty much the same pose. But he's looking around because I had my boyfriend with me, and he's looking around. He's like, "Where's your boyfriend?" And I looked out and I said, "Oh, he's out there talking to Cheap Trick." And I turned to him and he gave me a kiss on the lips, like everybody was blushing. I mean, the photographer, everybody was just like, "What?" So I thought that was funny of him to get that in there.
Yeah, just sneak it in when the
Yep,
boyfriend's not looking.
Yep.
That is awesome. My
Yeah.
goodness. Hold on. So we got Ruthie's dying to talk about Malcolm. She's our ACDC resident fan, super fan. So
I have a real quick one.
Mhm.
After I did the interview in Milwaukee in December of '77, second time that they came back to the U.S. on their Let There Be Rock tour, did a full interview with all 5 band members. And at the end of the night, I was with me and my 2 girlfriends. We were staying in a different hotel. So we go down to the lobby to say goodbye, and a cab pulls up. And Bon and Angus throw Malcolm out of the cab, grab my girlfriend Terry and throw her in the cab, and say, "He'll show you where our hotel room is, or our hotel is." And okay, I guess we're going to their hotel. And so Malcolm gets in the back seat behind me, and the whole time I'm driving to the hotel, he's either covering my eyes or trying to take the steering wheel out, take control of the steering wheel from behind me. And he's laughing like he's like a little kid.
Oh my God.
Malcolm was such one of the sweetest people I have ever known in my life. And I knew he was the boss of the band. A lot of people didn't realize who the boss was. Malcolm was the brains. He was the boss, but you never could tell that. He never walked around like, "Hey, it's me. You better, talk to me," kind of thing. But he was so sweet. During the interview, I just was writing about this because I'm writing a new book about all the interviews and everybody that I've met over the years.
That's awesome.
And I was just writing about that, about how sweet that Malcolm was, and the fact, and he was just like so easy to talk to. He was very chatty. When we would be alone and stuff, we would sit and just talk. And the same with Angus. It's like, I've always believed that Angus and Malcolm were my brothers in another life, because they treated me like a little sister. Like, yeah, she can be here. She's okay. And so Malcolm, he and I feel like we had kind of a special bond, because anytime that I saw him, like I hadn't seen him for years, and the Ball Breaker tour, we're backstage, and now they have people. They have people lighting their cigarettes, and they got people getting them drinks, and it's like, I think they're fancy now, right? And the first thing I said to Malcolm, I walked up to him and I said, "Aren't those the same jeans you were wearing back in '77 at the Stone Hearth?" And the whole place went quiet. Like everybody went, and he laughed. He goes, "Probably are." So he was very, very humble, kind. Definitely my favorite. It's hard to say, but I adored Malcolm. I really did.
Awesome.
So Ruthie's so appreciative of all your stories, and everybody here has been. Look at Jenna. I don't know about anyone else, but I have nothing even close to these stories. I don't think any of us can. This is,
Well, then,
you definitely, like, synchronicity wise, it's like you were put in the right place. You have any more before we pivot to the mysteries of the universe, secrets, and specifically reincarnation?
I've always been, I grew up interested in the paranormal because of my grandmother. When I was a little kid, she would tell us stories before we went to sleep. We would sleep on a day bed in her bedroom. And one night she told us, she was very matter of fact about life after death, which was unusual in those days for anybody to even talk about it. And so one night she tells us in the dark that after her mother passed away, that her mother appeared in her bedroom to say goodbye. And that, instead of scaring me, that was like, oh, I want to see that. I spent the rest of my life trying to see that. And my dad, when my grandmother passed, my dad said that she appeared to him and said goodbye after she passed away. And then just weeks before my father died, he showed up in a dream to me and told me he was leaving. And we were estranged at the time. We didn't even know where he lived. And I called my sister the next day and I said, Dad's leaving. He's going to die soon. And we found out where he was, and we called for a wellness check. And the police went, and we were allowed to see him. And he passed away like within 48 hours. But if he hadn't come to me in that dream, we never would have known. But I've seen full body apparitions, shadow people, balls of light. I've had so many strange things happen to me. I mean, things that are completely unexplainable, but they still happen, which I love because I love the spooky stuff. I lived in Savannah for 7 years, and that place, if you want to go to, or even like I investigated Gettysburg, if you want to see real activity, go to Gettysburg and stay at the Farnsworth Inn in downtown Gettysburg, and you will experience something, because I did. And so that was like always part of my life. And when I wrote Secrets to the Universe, which I self-published, it's 7 chapters on 7 of my favorite subjects, which is, synchronicity, numerology, chakras, healing with light, past lives, ghost adventures, self-love. And I think I don't know if that's 7, but it's close.
Yeah.
And I was at a Comic-Con a few years back, and William Shatner was there. And I went up and talked to him, and I had my book. I make business cards out of all the covers of my books. So I had a business card. Yeah, I'll always do that. Always do that. Have business cards of the cover of your book with your info in the back. And so I'm talking to William Shatner, and I hand him my Secrets to the Universe business card. And I have a picture of him from behind. My son took it, but he's holding my card, and he looks up at me with that voice, and he goes, "So, you know the secrets of the universe?" And I said, "Some." And he laughed. I'm like, "Captain Kirk, some."
Oh, yeah. Captain Kirk or Denny Crane. Denny Crane was my favorite character of William Shatner. In
yeah, he was good in
Denny
that.
Crane. Oh my gosh,
Great guy. Yeah. Oh, looking for a best friend. Yes, I have friends everywhere.
Applications are being taken for best friend of Susan. Please send to me and Sati. And Sati's going to take the lead for this section because she's really, we're both into the spooky. I'm letting Sati because she's like, oh, nom, 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 nom. Go ahead.
Exactly. Like,
we probably, go ahead if you have a question.
No, go ahead.
But we should probably get into the Titanic story of past lives if you want to, because I know people are always asking about that.
Sure. So let's start with that then. Akashi, if you're cool with that, we do have some things I think to show.
Well, first of all, I want to share this little picture right here. I have some more. So this is her son.
That's my son.
So if anybody hasn't seen, her son was in Ghost Inside My Child. And now the story, go ahead. Let's tell the story.
Right. So HBO is showing the Titanic. We get a babysitter, and my husband and my ex went out to dinner, left Jamie with the babysitter, and she was watching the Titanic on HBO. He got up, he woke up and came out, and she let him watch the rest of the movie with him. He was 4 years old. So when we got home and she told us that, he woke up, and I let him watch the end of the Titanic with me. And, right away as a parent, you're like, 4-year-old watching 1,500 people drowned. Not exactly a movie that I would choose to show my kid, but It's done. Can't do anything about it. Didn't think about it till the very next day. My son gets up. He's 4 years old. He is obsessed with the Titanic. And I mean obsessed. He was an artist. He always drew. He pencil drawing, painting, watercolors, and he within probably the first 2 weeks he painted maybe 50 pictures of the Titanic from memory, not from looking at a sample. He one time he did a cross section, a vertical or no, a horizontal. If you cut the ship in half, he did a pencil drawing of all the levels, all the rooms, all the ladders, all the window fixture. Yep, everything. And he knew he was obsessed with the boiler room, that the guys died first, is what his opinion was. They died first, Mama. And it was, I was like, hopefully this is a passing phase, okay? Mm-hmm. It lasted 2 years. And he started having night terrors where he would go to sleep. As soon as he'd wake up, he'd come running out of his bedroom like the house was on fire. And he would keep opening doors. He was like trying to get out. And we'd have to like block him from the stairway. And so he wouldn't fall down the stairs. And this went on, and we talked to the doctor, his doctor, about it. And he said, well, don't shake him out of it. Try to ease him out of that, but don't shake him out of it when he's having one of those nightmares. So this goes on forever. I mean, everywhere he went, like any placemat that we ate at would have a Titanic on it when we left. So he drew the Titanic everywhere. Everywhere he went, he was always drawing. And one day he came home with a postcard from the Titanic. And on the back of it, it says, having a good day on the Titanic. And on the front was the picture of the ship. Now there's 4 smokestacks. He had smoke coming out of 3, not 4. So I looked at it and I said, hey, sweetie, I said, did you not have time to finish your drawing? And he said, no, I finished it. And I said, well, where's the smoke in the smokestack? And he looked at me like I was an idiot, like he always did. And he goes, Mama, that's a dummy stack. They didn't use it. It was for show.
That is insane. That wasn't in the movie.
No, of course it wasn't. Nobody.
Sorry, I had my butt.
years later, that stuff came out in documentaries. But he knew how the ship was built, what was wrong with it. They rushed it. They didn't take their time. He was obsessed with how it was built and the mistakes that were made, and that it never should have happened. So he this went on for 2 years, and this was intense. Just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the Titanic. And so finally, 2 years into it, my daughter, who is a psychologist, she thought I was kind of woo-woo, about this, because, I thought it was a past life memory. What else could it be? I believed in past lives. So she thought I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And so she comes home, and he had everything. He had puzzles, he had Legos, he had everything Titanic. He had every book he could get his hands on. He had a whole collection. So they come out with a CD-ROM that you play in a computer where you're actually on the ship. Your point of view is on the ship. And it's a mystery game. So you knock on a door, and the guy will say, you need to go to level C, port side, whatever type thing. And Jamie, my daughter was playing the game with him, so she starts to move in the wrong direction. And he goes, you got to go port side, not starboard. If you go up there, you're going to end up on the bridge. You're going to have to cross the whole ship to get to the other side. What do you think you're doing? And she comes running upstairs and grabs me, and she goes, he knows his way around the ship. And I said, what have I been telling you for 2 years? You did not believe any of it. And she was blown away because this kid knew his way around the ship. So finally, let's see, he was born in 94. So this started in 96, 98, 99. I think it was 2000 when they came out with the first exhibit of Titanic memorabilia at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. And my daughter, the non-believer, gets a hold of me and she says, we have to take him to the exhibit. We have to. He's got to see the last things that he saw in that life. Maybe that'll bring closure to him. And he was 6 years old. And I thought, okay, we'll try. And so we go down to the exhibit, and they give you a card that actually correlates to a real person that was on the ship. So at the end of the tour, you find out if you made it or not. Just kind of,
Oh, wow. Okay.
ghoulish.
I did one of those. I did one of those. It's a trip. You get a card and they tell you what your fate was at the end.
Right. And so my husband at the time and I had a card, a man and a woman, and then my daughter had a female, and then my son had a male, and so we had those cards of who we correlated with, and we go through the exhibit, and kids are being kids. They're running around, they're playing, they don't care. My 6-year-old has got to study every last item. It took us forever to get through this exhibit. So we finally come up to a boiler that they brought up from the bottom of the ocean. And I'm thinking, oh no, and he's short though, he's 6, so he doesn't see my point of view. And they had the boiler with a spotlight and curtains, and then a wall of mirrors on the right side, wall of mirrors on the left side. But to me, I see a life-size oil painting of a man shoveling coal into a boiler. And I thought to myself, wow, they really went out of their way to show what these guys look like, the heavy woolen clothes and he had a cap and the high neck collar with suspenders and all that. He had a mustache. And I was impressed with that. I thought, wow, they really went out of their way. So we're getting pushed now with the crowd closer to the left side where that painting is. We get to that side and I look up at the painting, and as I'm looking at him, he turns and looks at me like I scared him. And I mean, his head swiveled really fast, looked at me like, who are you? And paintings don't move. So as soon as he looked at me, I freaked out and I shut my eyes for like 2 seconds, maybe. I opened my eyes and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and there's no painting and there's no man. And luckily my daughter saw the same man. But she didn't see him in a painting. She saw him as a guy standing where there was no place to stand. But we both saw him. My son didn't see him. He was too small. So we get through the exhibit, and then we get to the end. And my ex and I both survived. My card and my daughter's card was a mother and daughter, and the daughter was an actress. And my daughter did start out being an actress before she became a psychologist. And then my son, Jamie, is jumping up and down going, did I make it, Mama? Did I make it? Did I make it? Oh. And he had a card of a 38-year-old Canadian architect that died. But you're going to tell a 6-year-old that? No. So we lied. And we said, no, your name's right here, honey. You made it. And he was like, he was just overcome with relief. So we go home, and within a week or two weeks, I'm watching TV one night. My ex was out, and Jamie's in bed asleep. And I hear this booming in his bedroom, like this boom, 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 boom. Jump up, I run down, I open the door. My son is up on all fours. He's staring at the floor, and he's shaking so violently that the bed is hitting the wall. That's what the noise is. And I realize as I walk in that he can't see me. He doesn't know I'm in there. And I just froze because I thought he was going to have a seizure. He was shaking that much. And before I could even step forward, he won't take his eyes off the floor. He is fixed. And all of a sudden, this man's voice, not my son, this man's voice screams, "She's going down." And I burst into tears because I realized that he was experiencing the actual sinking of the ship.
Yeah.
And I got over to him. I calmed him down, woke him up, had to change his pajamas. He sweat through his pajamas. And I mean, it was really scary. And the next day I brought it up to him and I said, "Honey," I said, "you had a really bad night terror last night." I said, "You were shaking so hard that the bed was hitting the wall." And again, he looked at me like, "Mama," he goes, "Mama, the water was freezing, right?" "I was freezing." And then he walks away like, "Stupid." He was so matter of fact about it. He's like, "The water was freezing, right, Mama?" And I'm like, yeah, the water is freezing. He's like, yeah. And he just walks away. So after that night, he went a couple days without talking about the Titanic. And then it was a week. And then it was 2 weeks. And then he just stopped talking about it. It was gone.
Wow.
It was over. But then in 2013, that story made it to Ghosts Inside My Child, which is a TV series on Lifetime. You can find it on YouTube.
Okay.
It's called, the show that he's in is called Disaster Deaths.
Oh,
Nice title. Yeah. But you can see it on YouTube. And we filmed that. And when we were my son is now an artist. He's in the TV and movie business. He works on like Stranger Things, Star Trek, Walking Dead, tons of movies. And he draws, like when you see Star Trek and you see all the ships, he draws all that. So his artistry has come forward, and he's worked on.
I'm going to bring this up for a second. This is him earlier, but that is him, right?
Yeah, that's him at 14 years old, meeting Angus and Malcolm on the Black Ice tour in Chicago.
Such a cutie.
Yeah, they were so sweet to him. They were very, very sweet. And but yeah, we got picked up for that TV show, and my son had this, always has a massive computer setup, and he would film and record at night after we'd go to bed. He'd leave it on. So as we were collecting all the toys and the books and the models and, for the TV show, the more items we collected, the more the activity in the basement of this house was starting to go crazy. Mm-hmm. At night, you could hear it yourself. You'd hear people talking, people opening doors, walking up and down the stairs. And it was, it was crazy. And he was recording this. And like one night I'm in bed, and at 3 a.m, I hear this, like if somebody took a fist and slammed it on the table. It's like this boom. And I thought, yeah, I'm not going downstairs. And then like 30 minutes later, 3:30, boom. So the next day I told him, I said, pull up the 3 o'clock in the morning. I want to hear this. And you could hear it on tape. So one night he was in bed already. I was getting ready for bed, and they scared me, the people in the basement. All of a sudden, I'm getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden I hear all these people talking, and they're walking around, they're shutting doors, opening doors. And I'm like, all righty, I've had enough of this. I went downstairs with my cross and my sage, and I walked around the basement, and I said out loud, I was talking to them out loud. I said, okay, I understand your concern about how you died, and I want you to realize that my son died with you. And we are gathering all these things to feature your story and respect your lives in a TV show. So I don't want any more noise. I don't want any more activity. You need to move on, because my son died with you. And after that night, nothing.
That was it.
Yep, that was it. They took off. So, but at the end of the the TV show, they brought up a picture of the designer of the White Star Line. Thomas Andrews designed all of their ships, and then he had the habit of going on the maiden voyage, which he was on the Titanic the night that it sank. And he refused to take a seat on a lifeboat. He felt responsible for what went wrong, and he died. He left a wife and a daughter behind, but he gave up his life. And they came up with a picture. They figured he was Thomas Andrews because of the artwork. You know, as Thomas Andrews was a designer and an architect. And the first time I saw the picture of Thomas Andrews, I was like, wow, you know, my son kind of looks like him. And he was 19 at the time we did the TV show. But you have a picture to show.
Oh,
Yes.
do we?
Yeah.
Oh, do we ever?
Let's check
I'm
this
trying to come up with the right angle for this. Hold on a second. Let me put you up here because I want to make sure we can see you. So, yeah, so Sati came up. Sati tells me the same thing. Well, you were, you know, we were getting ready for the show, and she's like, oh my God, this kid looks just like Thomas Andrews. So went ahead and loaded him up. So to the right is Thomas, and to the left is Jamie. And this is Jamie at what age?
At
19.
19.
Yes.
And Thomas probably there, I think we had figured out he's like in his 30s.
I think
right,
so,
in
yeah.
this picture.
I believe that. Yep.
But it is a trip because we loaded this into AI. And we loaded both pictures to see what AI thought.
I knew it. I knew it.
She just told me, she's like, you got to check it out. And it actually came up with a face comparison about 78%. And again, there was, you know, it's not an exact science, but it was like looking at each section of the nose, definitely the nose. So you have all these, you know.
Yeah, the cleft in the chin and the hairline.
The hairline.
All of that.
The little cleft in the chin is like exactly the same. So it's you know,
it's crazy.
I love it.
Crazy.
Yeah, but it's real. Like this is real stuff. Reincarnation is real. And I've looked at many pictures over the years, some celebrities, and then, you know, they're saying, well, here's this picture, and they are the same soul. They're the same soul, the same aura, the same energy, the same soul. It's so beautiful. You know,
I'm curious at what aura that you saw around my son. Like, what colors did you see?
He has blue, indigo blue, and a really lovely violet purple, and then a really thin line of white. Those are the colors. And they both of them. Thomas had the exact same aura in all the pictures I looked at with Thomas. So that's what I'm saying. They have the exact same aura. They have the exact same energy that I'm getting off of their pictures. And I said to Chris, I said, this is the same soul. This is the same soul. Nobody can tell me any different because as you know, I've come into this life knowing my past lives, but I've also been doing past life regression for many years. The Dolores Cannon past life regression. And so this is a real thing. And anybody that doesn't think reincarnation is real, they really need to dig deeper into it because it's so true. And they've all been somebody else, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And what's funny now is that, you know, he, you know, works in the industry. And, you know, as I said, he works on lots of movies and things like that, but he will not talk about the Titanic at all.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, he won't.
So how old was he, Susan? I'm sorry if you said it. How old was he when he stopped? Like when that kind of just phased out of his life, the stuff on the Titanic?
Yeah, he started at 4 and it ended at 6 years old. So
at
it was 2 years. Yep.
Okay, so before he phased out of that, were there other things that he would talk to you about, or things you might have heard him say, or imaginary, you know, the so-called imaginary friends that are actually real? They're not imaginary at all.
Oh yeah. Oh, he would. I mean, he used to cry about the men in the boiler room. He said that they were trapped and that wasn't fair, and that shouldn't happen. And he would wail. He would actually like sob. And one night he used to do the funniest things. One night he was falling asleep, and he's looking off into the distance, and all of a sudden he said, it was so sad, and he said, the Titanic, she was a beauty, she was.
No. How old was he when he said that?
Probably four or
Can
five.
you imagine a kid saying that like that?
And the sadness in the voice, you know.
He could feel it. He felt all those emotions.
Yeah, he just said, she was a beauty, she was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. You know what's funny is his name is James, and his dad's name is John. And I looked up Thomas Andrews' family. He had two brothers. They were named John and James. So,
when you make that statement, I immediately thought Thomas Andrews versus, because the Boiler Room guys wouldn't talk like that. She's the beauty. If you think about that, that was the pride of somebody that gives birth to something. And that was his baby. What a trip.
Yeah, he used to sob. He'd talk about how they pushed it. They cut corners they shouldn't have done. And, he talked a lot about the construction of the ship and the mistakes they made.
That had to be Thomas, not one of the guys in the boiler room, right?
Right. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
But now
does he remember that now? Like, does he remember those things that he used to talk about now?
Not really. When we did the TV show, they asked him what he remembered. Mm-hmm. And because he was 4 to 6 years old at the time, and now he's 19. And he said, he would make the same decision of going down with the ship. Mm-hmm. And he said, what I remember the most is that the Titanic was like home to me. Mm-hmm. I remember it as my home.
Yeah. Well, and like Chris said, it was his baby, really.
It was. Yeah.
We know, there's no doubt about it, that is exactly who he was in the previous life. And I just think that it's absolutely incredible, the whole story. And often children, all babies are born fully plugged into the other side of the veil. Mm-hmm. And they have all of these remembrances. They can hear the voices that are talking to them. They can see things. And usually between the ages of 6 and 10, often that's when it goes away, right? And it's so unfortunate, because it's unfortunate and it's not, I guess, because there's a difficult side of having all of that too. And people think you're batshit crazy when you're that way. Right. But I don't care that people have thought that. That makes it difficult. But I don't know that I would ever give that up either, because I think it's a blessing and there's a purpose for what we are remembering. Right. There's a reason they allow us to remember specific things. There is also a part that I read somewhere. He knew who you were, Susan, before he came into this life, and he remembered seeing you on a blue tricycle.
Yeah. Yes, he
did.
Can
you talk a minute about that?
When he was very little, one night we were sitting on the bed with his sister and I, and he told us that he chose us, that I chose you to be my mom. I chose you to be my sister. And he said, I used to watch you, Mom, on your little blue bicycle. Now, I had a little tricycle, a blue one. I don't think there's even a picture of me on that bike. But he said, yeah, I used to watch you ride that bike. And I said to him, how did you choose us? How did you see me on my bike? And again, he looked at me like a class idiot. And he goes, Mama, there's windows in heaven. Okay.
It's like that right there.
You can't argue with that, right?
Nope, you cannot.
Yeah. But he was very matter of fact about it. He goes, I chose you. I chose you too.
Because he was being very authentic, because that is everything that he knew. Like, he remembered that. And I think it's so great, because it's true. We all write scripts prior to coming in, and we do choose our families. And so I just when I heard that, it gave me goosebumps because
Mm.
I've actually never met anyone that's had the same or similar experiences to me, never in my life.
Oh.
And so to me, this was very special when I came to the realization about your book, Secrets of the Universe, and about your son. I was like, oh my God, finally I can talk to somebody who gets me, who gets it, who actually gets it, you know?
Oh, I know. I know. You know,
Can I ask you one quick follow up? Only because on Thomas Andrews, did anybody from Thomas Andrews' family or did anybody ever reach out to you after Ghost Inside My Child came out? I'm just curious because he had a child, right?
yeah, he
Yeah.
did. I never heard from anybody connected to him, but I get letters to this day from people that saw the show and their child had an obsession with the Titanic. I get pictures, or I mean, letters like that, you
Mhm.
know, all the time over these years now.
I mean, that's thousands of souls that have recycled through,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, there was
you know.
1,500
Mhm,
people,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I thought it would
Mhm.
never go away. You know, that
Mhm.
was the scary part, is when you go into 2 years of that, you know, and I've had people online say, well, you fed him all that information. How do you feed a 4-year-old a dummy
You
stack?
don't.
You know,
You
oh,
don't. You
I'll
don't.
tell you really quick. This didn't make the TV show because of the time, but the producers went and bought a blueprint of the Titanic, like off of eBay or something. It was big,
Mhm.
and you know, blue blueprint.
Mhm.
I had never seen it before. Jamie had never seen it before, and they set it up, put it on the kitchen table, and then they set it up that I had Jamie come in, that I had a surprise for him. And so he came into the kitchen and we had the blueprint rolled out onto the table, and the sound man and the camera guy said to me, they said, ask him where the dummy stack is. So he came up, he
Mm.
looked at the blueprint. I asked him, I said, and it looked like I couldn't understand any of it. You know, I'm not a blueprint reader. And it took him 2 seconds. He pointed right up, right, like immediately, right here, Mom. Look, there's no intake valve underneath that smokestack. That's the dummy stack.
Yep.
How does
And
a kid know that
yeah,
statement? When it's like,
and the cameraman and the sound guy looked at each other and went,
Yeah.
they were like, their jaws just dropped. And
Mhm.
and then before, you know, Jamie was already drawing intense things. He drew the inside of a submarine,
Mhm.
which is on display at Madison College here in Madison, Wisconsin, because he went to school there, and it's on display. And he took the three people, the producer, sound guy, and lighting guy, or camera guy, down to his computer setup and showed him that picture that he had done of the inside of the submarine. And they were, and he was 19 at the time, and they were all like, you drew that, you designed that and drew that from, you know. But again, like I said, you know, when you see the spaceships in Star Trek, that's
Yep.
him.
mhm.
Mhm.
He draws all
and
of that.
That's
and Thomas Andrews was. I mean, the things that he knew at the time. I mean, the type of technology and the details and the
Mhm.
amount of passion that it took to do that. Anyway, that just tripping me out. Safi,
I just, yeah, I am, I'm just loving this, and I could talk to you, and I'd love to talk to Jamie, and I could probably do that for like 24 hours straight, because
good.
this is such a breath of fresh air for me, Susan, in that this is right up my alley, and this is everything that I do for a living, and everything I've been
Oh,
working with in my life for 60 years of my life.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it is just such an incredible story. All of it. I mean, all the rock stuff and then all of this other stuff. And I would like to ask you, hang on a second. I have a question here.
Okay.
What was the turning point or moment in your life that shifted your focus toward writing about metaphysics and the secrets of the universe? Was it because of Jamie and his experiences, or did something else happen? Did you have experiences yourself that maybe triggered that for you to
Oh,
move forward in the metaphysical?
yeah, absolutely. I actually, in 2008, I met my friends Tamara Gleason and Dawnette Cook. They're both psychics, and they were at a conference in Madison for the Unexplained Research Team, which was started by Chad Lewis. He writes a lot of books on the paranormal.
Okay.
And I met them as friends, and I've always been psychic. I'm a psychic empath, which is, oh, God, that's so heavy because I pick up other people's stuff
Yeah.
all the time. But I started working with them, and they invited me to go along. I did 3 conferences with them, and I did a speech on synchronicity. Is what, I love synchronicity because my whole life has been synchronicity. It's like a domino effect. I moved to New York in the 80s, and I'm writing about this in my new book. I ended up working with Diana Ross, John Denver, Joe Cocker, Harry Belafonte, all those people. And then when I wrote my famous Wisconsin musicians book, I became friends with Les Paul, and we were friends until he passed away.
Really?
So got to hang out with him, call him whenever I wanted, had his home phone number. And
great guitars, great guitars.
I know. And he was amazing. He was, when I first interviewed him, he was in his 80s. And I thought, what's this going to be like, And he was like on the phone, he was like a teenager. He remembered names, venues, dates. And my favorite part was he said, you want to hear about my first gig? I was 13. And I said, oh, yeah, I want to use that. I think it was the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee. And he played with a piano player was his, accompanying him. And he said, yeah, you might have heard about him. His name was Liberace. And I looked it up, and Les was 13 and Liberace was 9.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Both Wisconsin boys. And then Steve Miller.
Steve Miller.
Steve Miller lived in Wisconsin. His parents stood up for Les Paul's Mary Ford's wedding. And the first guitar lesson that Steve Miller got at 5 years old was given to him by Les Paul. So everybody's connected.
That's
everybody.
So crazy. I love it. And you can't make that up. There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Oh, no. I mean, it was, so I got to know Les Paul, and I became friends with Leslie West from Mountain, Mississippi Queen. He and I were friends until he passed away.
Mississippi Queen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's responsible for multi-track Les Paul, multi-track recording, solid body guitar, the multi-tracking and the solid body guitar, which they thought, was impossible to do, and an electric guitar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite guitar was a Les Paul, and it was like a really cool electric blue. And it was a Les Paul. As soon as my parents got me the Les Paul, that was my go-to guitar for the rest of the time that I played guitar, because it was just it was by far so much superior, in my opinion, to anything else I'd ever played.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Diane. Cool. That's so generous of you.
Diane's having such a good time. She's been saying this the whole time. So thank you, Diane, for.
They had a dinner for Les Paul here in Wisconsin in October of 2004 that I went to, because everybody was there in my book. I did in Famous Wisconsin Musicians, there's 32 mini biographies and then over 100 people in the back of the book. But there was, Les Paul, Steve Miller, Clyde Stubblefield, Garbage, the band, Butch Vig is from Wisconsin. And I got everybody to sign my book. And this is how funny Les is. We're hanging out at the end of the night. Most people have left now. And there's somebody, they had they had jams with Steve Miller and everybody. Well, somebody had their guitar on a table. It was a Rickenbacker, right?
Yep.
And so we're all sitting around, and Les grabs a Sharpie, and he says, "Watch this." He grabs a Rickenbacker, and over the name Rickenbacker, he writes Les Paul.
Oh my God.
Like, if you're Les Paul, you can do stuff like that, you know?
I just love the part where you're hanging out with Les Paul. It's like, oh yeah, we're just hanging out.
No,
we just decided to hang out.
I saw him in New York play at the Iridium Jazz Club in Times Square. I saw him there 3 times. I wanted to do a book on him and Mary Ford, but I couldn't get anybody interested in publishing it because most people don't know who Mary Ford is. Mm-hmm. And she was just as good of a guitar player as Les was. Yeah. I mean, she was extremely talented. And then Les and I and his son Russ, they're both passed now, but we talked about doing a movie about him and Mary Ford. And I still haven't been able to get that off the ground. But why has no one done a movie on Les Paul?
I know. I don't
understand that.
That's a really good question because that should have been done a very long time ago.
I know.
So many musicians use the Les Paul guitar. So many musicians talk about the incredible sound that comes out of these guitars and how awesome they are to play. Because even the way that the neck of the guitar was and the strings for me was so much easier to push. It wasn't hard to push the strings when I'm getting into riffs and things like that. So it was just an easier thing. It was more fun. And you can't deny, nobody can deny Les Paul guitars look so freaking cool. Like they've done a lot of cool stuff with the different styles of their guitars, right?
Well, and that first solid body guitar was made out of a railroad tie. That's how he made it. And I think that I saw it at the Country Music Hall of Fame. Yeah. Is the log guitar.
Okay.
But I also wrote a book called Family Tradition, 3 Generations of Hank Williams. Mm-hmm. I spent 2 days at Hank Jr.'s son's house in Nashville. Okay. And the book went over so well that I got invited to do a book signing at the Country Music Hall of Fame. So that's awesome. Career highlight, definitely for me.
That's amazing. I love it. I've been there and I've kind of done that tour. I even went a couple years ago. One of the things on my bucket list was to go to the original Grand Ole Opry to see a concert. So I saw J.J. Gray and Mofro at the original Grand Ole Opry. They still have the benches from the church, like the pews and everything in there. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I felt all of these incredible energies. And I was looking around the room while the concert was going on. And I'm calling out Johnny Cash and I'm calling out Hank Williams and I'm calling out all these people because I'm like, I feel their presence. All of their presence in that whole place. And it was just like, oh, this is so cool.
I used to go to the Book Expo in New York every year. It was always at the end of May. And I would always meet celebrities because they would do their own book signings. This is, talking about synchronicity. So on a Wednesday night, I see a Lifetime movie on June Carter Cash. Jewel played her, and it was a beautiful movie done on her. And 3 days later, I'm in New York City at the Book Expo, and I see that John Carter Cash is there for a book signing, the only son of Johnny and June. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm meeting him. I'm definitely meeting him. And I had my
out of the way.
Out of the way. And I had my business card with the Family Tradition on the cover. Okay. And I waited until everybody was done, getting signed. He wrote a children's book, actually. And so people were getting books signed. And then as everybody walked away, I went up to him and I handed him my card. And I said, I'm here for my Hank Williams book. And he grabbed my card and he goes, oh my God, your book and my book is on sale at the gift shop at the Nashville airport. And I said, get out of here. Seriously? And then I said, I just watched a movie on your mother 2 nights ago. And he goes, didn't Jewel do an amazing job? And I got a picture with him. He's so big that I come up to like his waist. That's how big he is. And he was so nice. And how weird, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know my book was for sale at the gift shop at the Nashville airport. But yeah, he said, your book and my book are right next to each other.
He's the one who told you. He knew.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
knew and
he
you
knew.
didn't know.
So funny.
Yep. Yeah. And then the same book expo, right? My daughter's with me. She didn't know who John Carter Cash was at all. I freaked when I saw his name. I'm like, oh my God, gotta see him. So we're done with that. And about 100 feet away from me, I see this guy walking with a gold crown on his head. And I grab my daughter. I'm like, run. And she's like, why? And I said, that guy is Flava Flav. Move it. And we ran. Flava Flav.
Did he have his big clock on?
Oh, everything. He was decked out. He had this posse around him. And of course, I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. And I have my card, right? My Hank Williams card. And I stop him. I stop him and his posse. And I say, Flav, I would love to get a picture with you. I'm here with my book signing for this book. And I handed him the card. And he took the card. I don't like imitating people, but he took the card and he looked at it, and the posse was kind of like, not sure, if they should like shoo me away or not. And he takes the card and he goes, oh, the Williams boys. Yeah. And then he said, come on. And he put his arm around me and we got a picture. And my daughter put it on social media. And for 3 days solid, the only messages she got was, is that really Flava Flav? She's like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And then
it is synchronicity. It's like you're just always in the right place.
Always. I mean,
I'm trying to find that picture. I'm like desperately trying to find a picture of you and Flava Flav.
I think it's on my website. You might find it on my website.
I was just on your site. Hold on. Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to try to find
Flava Flav. But
yeah, that's hilarious.
I watched all of his reality stuff too. I was like, that was so bad.
Funny.
It was so awesome. It's like the best.
Yeah, but he was so nice, and we got a picture and everything, and my daughter was just like, how do you do that? But now my son is doing the same thing where he worked on The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, and he's working with movie directors all the time. And one day he was on his way to a meeting, and he was running to get to this appointment in front of the Chelsea Hotel in New York. This guy is going in front of him, kind of moving really fast. Jamie comes around the corner and they run into each other. And the guy kind of, keeps going, turns around. He realizes that Jamie recognized him. So they smiled at each other. It was Willem Dafoe.
Oh, wow. Love him.
Willem Dafoe. I love Willem Dafoe.
He's from Wisconsin.
So creepy looking. He's
a Wisconsin boy.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And I told my son, I said, you are going to work with him someday. You wait and see. Because he does the same thing. He runs into people. He meets the people at the right time. He's got the, I don't know what it is.
I wasn't paying attention to chat, and now there is a retreat with Susan being planned on the chat. There's a retreat.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I like Susan
would
and
love
I
that.
we can be
on the
psychics
chat.
and energy healing and all that. That would be so much
Oh my God.
fun.
I want to do
Susan.
I want to do a past life regression.
Come on over, girl. Come on over.
It's going to sound crazy. Okay, I'm going to give you a little cray here.
No,
When I was a little kid, I used to tell my friends that I was a comedy actress in the 30s that died in a plane crash.
Oh,
okay.
Cool.
That's all I knew.
Okay.
I was an actress who died in a plane crash. When I got into my 20s, I started having all these dreams and memories, and I went to the library and I'm, this is just what I felt at the time, but I connected with Carol Lombard, who is married to Clark Gable.
Ooh.
She was a comedy actress who died in a plane crash.
That died in a plane crash. That was
interesting.
holy crap.
And there's
I forget Carol Lombard was considered comedy.
Oh yeah, no, she did both, but she started as a screwball comedian, and she was actually Lucille Ball's mentor.
Oh my
and
God.
after she died, Lucille Ball used to say that Carol would come to her in her dreams and help her with business decisions.
They just gave me Lucille Ball, and you said her name as soon as they gave that name to me. I was like, "What? That's sorry."
Yeah,
I went, "Oh my God!" Because
if Carol wouldn't have died, there wouldn't have been an I Love Lucy. It would have been Carol. And I had there was a ring that I wanted my whole life. It was baguette diamonds, like a whole line of them, like an eternity ring. Yeah. I always wanted one, and then I found a picture of her wearing it. She had a ring exactly like that.
Wow.
And yeah, so I've had dreams and so many memories, and she swore like a sailor. So I can relate to her with that. And, she just, she was, somebody should do, again, a movie on her.
Her, yeah, but I would like to do see the comparisons of pictures if we see the same aura and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Because,
this seems like a part 2, man.
I guess. We're going to do a part 2.
Yeah, we have to. We really do have to.
Let's do a retreat wherever you are. I will fly in. I would love that.
Jana started the retreat idea. So thanks, Jana. Now we're doing a retreat. It's happening.
That would be awesome.
I love actually, it. Jana and I have spoken about a retreat before. So this is just cool because meeting you, Susan, and knowing kind of who you are and your abilities and things, I'm just like, you've got me all in my good feels now. I'm just like I'm just freaking out here because it's just so amazing to connect with you. But I think another show is definitely needed for sure. And I think at a retreat, and I can definitely set you up, young lady, for doing past life regression or anything that you need to anything you want to delve into, because I've got this direct line in, and it's incredible the information that I receive. So we should maybe do something with it's
that. Happening. It's happening. It's already already been manifested by our chatters.
It's already happening.
That this is going to happen. We could do a retreat with animal therapy. You see, there's already ideas. So we're gonna have to. This is happening. So be ready. Be ready.
We have to go back to ego stroking again.
Here we go. So we're at 2.5 hours, and I want to make sure, Sati, that you have any other questions, because we were covering secrets, and we're gonna have her back. Look who just joined us, Blooming Iris.
Blooming Iris.
Hi, Iris.
Hello, sister. I love you.
It's already growing.
It's amazing. I have so many questions, honestly. We can either go ahead.
I just before we go, say goodbye. People, I'm easy to reach. I have my own website.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but we're not there yet. We're not saying goodbye yet, honey.
Oh, okay. I got a quick story for about Jamie.
Please. Yes, let's do it. Okay? Yes.
When he was 3 years old. Now this is when he's telling me I chose you and there's windows in heaven and all of that. He loved trains. Now little boys love trains. That's not really, that far out of reach, right? Well, he claimed that he worked on the original train cars in Wyoming. He's 3. He doesn't know how to say Wisconsin, but he says Wyoming all the time.
Wyoming.
And he said, I helped design the original train cars in Wyoming. And we were watching Willy Wonka one night, and you know how Gene Wilder dressed? And he leans over to me and he goes, that's how we used to dress when we worked on the train cars. He said, there were no cars, Mom. There were only horses. And he talked about that for the longest time. Wyoming, Wyoming, Wyoming. Well, one day I'm in the library and there's a history book on the United States. I find a picture. The first train cars were built in Wyoming. Better. He had a wife. His name was James in that life. He had a lot of kids, a big house. And one night he made me go through all these ladies' names to remember his wife. And he has 3. And I was like, Mary, all of these. And when I said Elizabeth, he's like, that's it. That's it. That was my wife. Her name was Elizabeth.
Wow. But think about that. So he was into trains, then he was into ships.
Yep.
Like all his lives, and now he's actually, I mean, the stuff that he's doing, it is very much designing, and it's transportation based, because he was talking about Star Trek and rocket ships, and he's been into that the whole time through all his lives.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting so strong. 1863. 1863. We need to look into for
We
Jamie.
should look that up.
1863 for Jamie. We're gonna have to do that.
They've said it like now 7 times. 1863. 1863. We need to look into 1863.
1863. We'll note that down, because
I can ask my phone.
Sure.
Let me ask my phone. I love my phone. You can ask your phone anything.
You can ask it anything these days. You're right.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. What years did they build the first train cars in Wyoming in the United States? Okay. 1867 to 68.
Okay.
Very close. Very close.
Yeah, that's the area where this person would have been living in, like growing up at the time.
In Wyoming.
Absolutely. Yeah, because they're still saying it. They're still saying 1863. So I wonder if there was something specific that happened in his life in 1863 that pulled him into doing what he was doing for the railway, because that ties in. That is all in the same era, right?
I know. And he was obsessed. I mean, I didn't really look it up until I saw that book. Thomas Andrews was born on February 7th, 1873 in Ireland.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
And Jamie had like an accent when he was a little kid. I thought it was more British, but could have been Irish.
Right.
But he would like, one time we were on vacation, and I bet he was too, drawing back then. One time we were on vacation in Florida, and he came into our bedroom. He wanted to go to the beach. And so he told us to get up. It's time to go to the beach. And as he's walking out the door, he turns and he says, now get up straight away. And he walks out. And I'm like, who is that? I opened my eyes. I'm like, who was that? It didn't sound like him at all. And he's like, now get up straight away. So, but he used to.
You see him, he's so cute and innocent. It's like, look at this little face. When you're at this little face, stuff like that.
What's funny is that when he was a kid, he was a fan of Stephen Colbert, and he would not go to sleep at night till he saw Stephen's monologue.
Really?
Then he would go to sleep. Right. Oh. Well, I don't have it. I'll have to send it to you.
I saw the picture.
Did you see it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Stephen Colbert was making fun of children with past lives. Like, did your kid remember being Hitler? That sort of thing. But he didn't ask permission and he didn't pay for it. He showed one of Jamie's paintings of the Titanic sinking on his show. So
it's in her gallery, you guys. Go look it up at SusanMasino.com. Keep going. That's
yeah. So he got on Stephen Colbert's show after all the time that he was such a he would laugh. He's very into politics. He should be a senator. I mean, he worked with Al Gore on the climate project. He worked with Al Gore. He even did he was on live TV with Al Gore and 3 other people. So he did that. He worked on the Lisa Ring campaign back in Savannah. She was running as a Democrat. And he also campaigned for Mom Donnie in New York City.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. So he's very, very involved with that stuff. He can talk for hours about what's really going on in politics, and I don't even know where to start. And so yeah, he's very much into that, but he will not talk about the Titanic. He refuses to. He doesn't want to be known for that.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't want it to define him because he's living a life as Jamie right now.
Yep.
And so I think that that's kind of cool because we have to create balance there because we can, and I've seen people get lost in this stuff. For parts of my life, I got lost in the stuff because I was trying to figure out about my past life stuff. And it was taking over my present life stuff. So we have to be able to kind of decompartmentalize these things. And I call them filing cabinets in my head. Oh. So I just go, something comes in or I have a remembrance. And then it's just like, okay, that goes into this filing cabinet. Just plug it back there and I'll pull it when I need to.
Sure.
But you have to get good at that stuff. And we have to be aware we're here for a purpose and we're not here to live our past life.
Right. Yes.
You know,
we all ready to play. Okay, are we ready to play a game before we say our goodnights?
Sure,
and I am gonna. Is that okay, Sati? We ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
I am not ready.
I'm gonna have to go to the restroom after 3 hours. I'm gonna have to go to the restroom at some point.
Susan, I need to get your contact info because
Okay. All right.
Okay, here we go.
You guys ready for a game?
Yeah,
we're going to be playing a game with Susan. The game is called. Wait, is this the one? This or that? It's a ridiculous speed round. Hold on, I want to make sure we see Susan. It's a ridiculous speed round game where Susan will have to choose. Hold on, I want to turn down our music. It's a little loud. So you're going to have to choose between.
Okay.
Some tough choices. So are you guys ready? Let's see what choices she makes. Our first, this or that is a curse.
Ooh.
Every time you lie, a guitar riff plays, or every time you swear, thunder strikes. Which one? Which curse do you choose?
Every time I swear. Yeah.
Thunder strikes. All right.
Yep.
I'm assuming you probably don't swear a lot, but actually you probably do. And that's okay. Next. This or that. A haunted toaster or a possessed Roomba.
Possessed Roomba, for sure.
Possessed Roomba. Interesting, because it can be on the move. That's a very interesting choice because the Roomba can take off and run you over.
And suck everything up.
And suck everything up.
Yes. Yes.
Next, this or that is aliens in matching tracksuits abduct you, or a Victorian child haunts you by moving your keys.
I can't believe you showed me this because I've seen aliens in tracksuits in Savannah. I did. I
had no idea. I promise you guys.
3 of them.
Anybody on the chat?
Yep.
They wear the same stuff. They wear always the same outfits.
No, I thought they were there to burgle the place, but I saw them one night off my porch in Savannah at 3 a.m. It was all foggy, and all of a sudden, I made a deal with the universe. I said, I'm living here. Don't scare me. Don't pull stuff on me that's going to scare me. So I would go out at 3 a.m. because I love that stuff. I love that time. And it was really foggy out. And I'm sitting on my porch on the 3rd floor, and I don't even get the thought in my head. I say to myself, I could handle seeing something. I could. And out of the corner of my eye, I catch this movement, and I look down on the road, and there's 3 guys in matching suits. They're one of their hands were lit up, all 3 of them. So I thought they were holding phones. And I saw them, and first I go, they look like they're, like worked out in tracksuits, right? And then I'm like, there's no gym like anywhere near this apartment. So then I think, I go to the criminal part. I'm like, oh, they're here to burgle. Okay. They're, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to call the cops. So they go walking by in unison, moving exactly the same, exact same size. And we called it the vortex. It was at the end of the road that went into the woods. And then 90-degree angle, a road that went about a good block. Okay. So they're walking down to the end of the road and they go into the woods. Now, you don't do that in Georgia. There's 3 million alligators in Georgia. So you don't go stomping around in the woods. If there's a puddle somewhere, there's going to be an alligator, okay? So they go into the woods, and I'm thinking, whoa, they're going to jump the fence, because we had a fence around this big body of water that was next to the apartment complex, and you never went in there. That's not a place to go. They went in there, and within seconds, 2 came out, and 1 never came out. And that was weird. Well, that he's burgling, they're going to go do something else. Mm-hmm. And so then they're walking down that road, and I can still see them because their hands are glowing. Each one has a hand that's glowing. And I'm standing there, and I'm watching them, and all of a sudden I hear, like if you took a football field piece of glass and shattered it. Mm-hmm. I heard that. And I looked up at the sky thinking, what the heck? And I looked down, and the guys are gone. They disappeared. So I called them time travelers. Yeah. But they could have been aliens. But I saw them with my own eyes.
Absolutely.
I had no idea I was going to bump into this story.
I love it.
Part of this or that, but anything can happen on Mind Fork and Cosmic Carousel.
There you go. Okay.
Especially when you have Susan Masino. So next, this or that. An overly sensitive Yeti or a lazy Bigfoot. It's a lose, baby.
I would go with the lazy Bigfoot. Yeah, we could watch
lazy Bigfoot.
We could watch TV together.
There we go, because he's eating Sasquatch chippies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we have to sing "Loose Baby" instead of
"Loose Baby." Loose Baby. Next, this or that. 2 more to go. This or that. Okay, Who would you take on in battle? 1 Angus-sized chicken or 100 chicken-sized Anguses? Which one would you?
Definitely the Angus-sized chicken, because he's way shorter than me.
There we go. Yeah, it's better than 100 little ones.
No, that I don't want that. No, they would be all over me. That would be horrible. 100 of them. No. I'll take the Angus-sized chicken because he's little. That's little.
The Angus-sized chicken.
Little and full of energy.
Full of energy.
Yeah. We don't need 100 of them. Just try to catch him.
Okay, and then the final question in this or that. Susan, 1 hour with your younger self, which somehow looks like a little librarian. I didn't do that. AI did. Or 1 hour, 100 years in the future.
Rock hard, no. 1 hour. Go. 1 hour with my younger self.
Yay!
Definitely.
1 hour with your younger self.
Yep.
Without?
Hanging out with Bon Scott.
There we go, Bon Scott. Yep. And let's do I have a... That's the reaction to you and Bon Scott. So it's like, thank you for playing this or that. It's the first time we play this or that. I usually play a game, and I just wanted to do something like a speed round because I figured, and we're almost at 3 hours, and I love it.
Oh yeah. That was easy.
So tell us, Susan, there we go. What are you up to next? Where can we find you? What do you?
Okay, well, my Let There Be Rock book was updated in 2020, and then it came out in January of this year as an audiobook, 19 years after its first release.
Right on.
And I'm working on a book now that I hope to have out for the holidays about everybody. Les Paul, my New York years, all my stories that haven't been told and some that have, But
Right on.
I'm working on that, and I hope to get it done by the end of September, which is coming up really fast. So I got to get moving.
That's
We're going
awesome.
to have you back with more on that
Mhm.
book, because
Yeah.
we're going to need updates, and obviously we need a retreat. We need extra shows. Obviously, our chat is going to need a support group when they can't talk to you, because they no
Well,
longer want to be our friends. They want to be your friend, and that's
Yeah,
totally okay.
it's
Because
okay.
we
well,
want to be your friend too. We want to be your besties.
I'm
like I,
happy we were able to
Just
connect the chat with Susan. I'm happy that we could connect you guys to your bestie, your new bestie here.
your new
oh yeah,
bestie. Now that you don't talk
yeah.
to us.
Yeah, and I'm easy to get a hold of. I have my own website. I'm on
Mhm.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Yeah, I'm easy to talk to. So if you want, you have questions, feel free to email me because I always
Which
answer
is your
all my email.
favorite? Which is your favorite social platform that you're most active in?
Well, probably Facebook, but
Okay, so
I love TikTok though. I get the biggest kick out of TikTok.
they're
You
funny.
never know what you're gonna see on there.
Are you on
Exactly.
X at all? Are you on X at all, Susan?
No,
There's a profile, but you don't do much in it, right?
no,
I think
no.
you have a profile, like, because I tagged it, but I can tell you don't. So, Sue is my new bestie, says
Hey,
Captain Harris.
Captain Harris. All right.
And
Oh,
everybody's having such a good time. Thank you
Oh,
guys all
Diane.
for being here. Susan for honorary co-host. There we go. Let's just make it
thank
happen. And I'm
you.
totally okay with that. Susan is welcome
Uh,
here any day. So, and then let's go around the room. Sati, what's going on with you?
Well, I like Susan, as you know, my book is about to be published, so that's coming out very, very soon. And then we'll be going deep diving on that stuff. And Akashi, Chris, and I have some cool stuff coming up too. And I'm starting my class tomorrow with so many incredible ladies that we're stepping into an ascension class tomorrow,
ooh,
Susan. So
like that.
this is
If
really
you want to
exciting.
join,
I,
you're always welcome, Susan.
you are always, it's going to be every Monday at 5 p.m. Central for 1 hour for 6 weeks. And I've got
Okay.
all the course stuff together. So if you do want to be a part of it, just reach out and let us know and I can add you to the list. But it's
Okay.
going to be a blast. And if not, I really hope you come back because I have really enjoyed you
Oh,
immensely.
thank you.
And we're not done. I mean, the universe has brought us into each other's lives for a purpose, and we got to figure out what that purpose is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
Exactly. It's like somehow we got together, right? Synchronicities, right, Susan?
well, yeah, and it's been a long time since we talked. Like you said, it was 2022 or 23, maybe.
We go
So
way
it's
back
been a
now.
while.
I know we're gonna
Yeah.
have to bring you back, and
Absolutely.
one day I was like, I need to call Susan Masino. I haven't talked to Susan Masino in so long, and I knew you were really like into like spooky stories, and I mean,
Oh
but
yeah.
this just blew. This whole show has blown everybody away,
And I've
and
got more. I've always got stories.
so we're
You
gonna
know.
come back. We're gonna do a part two, and we can do it after your book. She has a book. You have a book, so we're gonna have to get you guys all together. And
Well,
from
and
our
send me info on your book so I can put it on my page.
I will
So
for sure.
yeah,
Thank you,
yeah,
Susan.
no
And the
problem.
same for you,
Mhm.
because I'd like to promote you too. I'm all about promoting people
Hmm.
that are, they kind of move against the grain in their life. And
Hmm.
it hasn't been about the societal norms. I've been a nonconformist my whole life, and I've never fallen into
Hmm.
any societal norms in any way, shape, or form.
Oh
So
yeah,
when we get to
uh,
meet
I
people
can
that are
relate.
like that, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this is freaking awesome.
I've been so excited. So here from our side, in 2 weeks, we are coming back live, and we have a series, Susan, called Hidden Symbols. So what we do is we go through all the hidden symbols in whether it's children's stories, which we've spent the first 2 episodes has been children's stories, but now we're going into nursery rhymes. And next, we're going to go into other movies. So this next one is going to be about nursery rhymes. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. And we're going to start trying a little later time like this. So let us know, you guys on chat, if this time works for you. Because we usually go earlier, but I'm kind of liking this time. So,
Yeah, I like it.
Susan, it's been just a pleasure. Chat, La Wifey, everybody, thank you so much for being here. That's me. So,
thank you.
La Wifey and Timmy and Ruthie and DJ was here and
thank you,
complimenting the
Ruthie.
heck out of us.
And Sharon and Richard.
Captain Harris, yeah. Richard and and Blooming Iris.
Yeah.
Just going through Curious Georgie, Diane. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight.
Yeah,
and
thanks
I
for
am going to play us off. Oh my God, you were amazing, Susan.
Yes, Susan.
So
This
there's
is so
DJ
great.
from Calling All Beings. Thank you so much. The Cabbies. Boston Bia was here for a long time. She's still here. I'm just trying to find everybody's name in here in the chat. And of course, Ruthie, who's your biggest fan because she loves AC/DC so much. So if I missed anybody, I am so sorry. It's been 3 hours. I haven't eaten. And we probably need to let our guest here go. So I'm going to play us off with a little video.
All right.
Don't
Thank
go
you,
away.
ladies.
Stay
Sorry,
with us,
sorry.
Susan. Just stay with
Yeah,
us.
don't go away. You stay
Okay.
in the green room. Yeah, because
Stay
we
in
need
the
to
green
say
room.
goodbye.
And I
Okay.
would just like to say quickly to the chat, thank you all so much. I get so into these interviews that I don't see as much going on in the chat, but I do feel your presence. I do love you all for being here. So thank you for participating and always being there for us. You guys are awesome. And without you, there'd be no point in doing a show. Right? We have to, the chat matters. The peeps that show up for all of us matter. And
if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have a show. We could talk to each other all the time, which is great. But, part of it is like bringing stuff that people get excited. And when you see the chat just pop, right? And people are like saying, it's like, my bestie, that just makes us so happy.
Absolutely.
Yes. I love you guys. So I am going to play us off.
All right.
Mwah. Peace. And we will see you very, very soon. Here we go. I'm trying to find my video. Here we go.